They're longtime friends.
Let me tell you something real quick about Dibs that I'm sure not everybody knows.
And first-time partners.
Hang in there, big guy. There'll be brighter days ahead.
Now, these two homegrown Bay Area boys finally come together to take over sports talk.
Get the hell off of my doorstep.
Major League Baseball, you stink.
It's Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Okay, yeah, here we go. I'm not running from this. What do you think's going to happen tomorrow? What's your prediction?
Oh, man. I think they keep him. I think they're going to keep him through tomorrow.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And I think they keep him because they don't want him to be in Seattle, and they want to trying to hold off as long as possible. But there's also a lot of talk. I mean, when Chris Sims is suggesting that Jimmy's best option would be to renegotiate and stay, it makes you think, just because of Sims's relation to Shanahan, that maybe that's what Shanahan wants.
I know, but aren't we done with that? And by the way, good morning to you. Larry is in for Dibs, Willard and Dibs. We'd love to hear from you today. What would you like to see the 49ers do with the quarterback spot on the roster tomorrow? 888-957-9570, the number. That's for the Comcast Business text line as well. And good morning, Twitch and YouTube. We thank you for watching. Isn't Larry a handsome man? I just, it's so funny to me. Like the idea that we would still be even considering this on August 29th was unfathomable at the beginning of this year, number one. But number two, you bring up Chris Sims. And for those of you who don't know, Chris Sims, who works at Pro Football Talk and was very good friends with Kyle Shanahan and teammates with him at Texas, I'm kind of done with if Chris Sims says it, it must be coming straight from Kyle. Because we've been doing this for a long time now, and it's been proven. I mean, Chris Sims thought they were going Mac Jones. So it was like, Kyle's not calling Chris Sims and telling him the trade secrets. Chris Sims can be his friend, but is also a media person now. So Kyle's not on the record telling Chris Sims what he's thinking.
Maybe not, but it doesn't mean that Chris Sims is not trying to be wrong.
Correct.
He's trying to be right. So he would use, and anybody who talks in front of a microphone, if you're talking about this, you don't want to be wrong. You want to be right. So you're going to use everything in your power to be right. So I'm not saying that Kyle necessarily fed him any information. I'm just saying that maybe a guy like Sims could read the tea leaves, if there were tea leaves to read. I'll say this, though. Bill Walsh, going way back to the late Bill Walsh, one of the great coaches, he had Joe Montana and Steve Young and Steve Bono. And one of those years in the 80s or 90s, he needed all three to get through the year. And the Niners used all three and won games with all three. Mm-hmm. What do you think of a quarterback room that's Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Brock Purdy?
I think it's a really good quarterback room with all kinds of emotional problems. I think is what it is. I just, imagine the messaging. So this for me is two separate conversations. A, do you keep him tomorrow because you're trying to keep him away from Seattle? But B, the 49ers also have to know if you keep him tomorrow, the public, the fan base is just running with they're keeping Jimmy. Like they can't see all of the little finer points of what might be going on because we're fans and we know Jimmy. We've known him for 5 years, and obviously it's a better quarterback room if he's in it. Obviously, who would not feel comfortable with him as the backup? That'd be great. But I'll tell you,
maybe him.
Yeah, and Trey. You can't do this. This is not to me.
But comfort for players is not a priority for me. So, you're saying Trey.
It should be.
Well, was Joe Montana comfortable when Steve Young was behind him? No. Joe Montana just happened to play the greatest ball of his career with Steve Young sitting right there.
But he was already established as the great quarterback, maybe the greatest of all time.
True.
Trey Lance is going to make his
sharpens iron.
Right, but Trey Lance can make his third start in a few weeks. And it's not even just about Trey, it's about themselves. What are you saying if you made this decision a year and a half ago? What are you saying if now you get to this point and you hedge? Because that's essentially what you're doing. You're hedging your bets.
It's a great point, but how about this? The best player on your team might be Trent Williams. Trent Williams is 34 years old. How do you look at the big man in the eye and say, hey, Trent, I know this may be your final bite of the apple as far as the Super Bowl, but we're not going to do everything in our power to win this year because we're feelings. I'd rather say, Trent, guess what? We feel like we can win with Trey, and if Trey gets hurt, we feel like we can win with Jimmy, and if Jimmy gets hurt, we feel like we can win games with Brock Purdy.
It's not.
So we're going to keep all three of those guys because we have a Super Bowl. I mean, I agree with Sims's notion. He has them as the most talented team in football. I look at the NFC. There's nobody standing between the 49ers and the Super Bowl.
I totally agree.
They're far and away the best roster in the NFC. Why would you? One of the only ways they don't go to the Super Bowl is if the quarterback prevents it from happening. So why not give yourself a full, list of options and play it out, see where it goes. Everybody gets hurt in football.
Yeah, but I wish it were that simple. Like what you're saying is sort of like living in a vacuum. And
I'm saying, take your best players.
I totally agree. Take your best players, except, and I think that, this is maybe a poor comparison, but if somebody is like, okay, let's take Deshaun Watson. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, right, on paper, but you have to consider other things. And so most teams would be like, no, we're not doing that because of all of the other stuff
but
that it
now
brings.
You're talking about lewd behavior, some borderline criminal behavior.
Right.
There's a difference between that and just you want to take your best players, your best football players.
Right. But so that's not apples to apples. My point in bringing that up is that things that are happening outside of the obvious, not just the X's and O's, things that are happening outside of that can affect your football team. Like I was working in San Diego when the Chargers left. And every player, as they moved up, we're going to move to L.A. after this season. Okay, how's this affecting you guys? Oh, not at all. No, it's not affecting us at all. We just play football, whatever's going on there. And then they leave, and the next year, same interviews. Yeah, that totally blew our season to smithereens because nobody could focus. You're welcoming a quarterback controversy into the room, and that's not easy. You all know, we know, Trey is going to have bad moments. He's going to have bad games. He's going to have bad throws. He's going to throw picks. And if every time you do that, camera goes to Jimmy. Camera goes to Jimmy. Camera goes to Jimmy. Players in the locker room. I think we should go to Jimmy. I think we should go to Jimmy. You're welcoming that. You're welcoming that into your locker room, and I think it kills the whole damn thing.
Well,
I really do.
Okay, but then is some kind of a circus worse than it's week 3 and you're going with Nate Sudfeld?
Well, but that's,
you're done. You're done.
You're right.
So what are we talking about?
But that's the
Would
reality.
you rather be done in week 3?
No, but you're going
to be looking for Jimmy.
But you're assuming an injury is going to take place at a position where actually normally it's realistic to navigate 17 games with your quarterback. Most teams year in and year out do it. Yes, there will be injuries. I get that. But like what you just described is what every NFL team faces. What happens if Mahomes goes down week 2? What happens if Allen goes down week 2? Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. Done. Season's over.
Yeah, but
every team faces that.
If you have the option, first of all, Jimmy's not staying at $24 million. The Niners don't want him at $24 million. Nobody in the league wants him at $24 million. I think that's pretty clear. I think that's pretty established.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants that price tag.
Correct.
But if he stays on the roster, I would assume there's some kind of reduction of that salary. There's some kind of restructuring of that salary. Otherwise, there's no reason to have him on the roster. He's not going to be on the roster at $25 million. But if you could have him on the roster at half that, would you want him as an insurance policy? To me, the insurance policy on the young quarterback is probably the best thing that you could do for yourself to improve your chances of going to the Super Bowl.
I totally see that point, except for you're moving down a road of something where I would bet Jimmy and Don Yee are like, hell no.
But what are his options?
Seattle. He has options.
But not at the full boat.
No, not at the full boat.
Yeah, so what's I'm saying?
He can play.
Would you rather play behind a rookie left tackle or play behind Trent Williams or sit?
If I'm Jimmy, I'd way rather be in Seattle. Way rather. If I'm going to I'd even take a little less.
Seattle's over-under is like 5.5.
It will go up if they get Jimmy, number one. But number two, he wants to play. If you stay with the 49ers and take a pay cut to do it, the video you're going to get all year is you in a baseball cap.
But let's kick that further down the road here. He goes to Seattle. He doesn't have big money guaranteed. If I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, I want to have one eye on what's going to set me up for next year's free agent
Fair
market
point.
for big dollars.
Fair point.
To me, staying here and winning here or sitting here and is better than going to Seattle and breaking because they don't have a good enough situation around you.
It is a completely fair point because we're in love with the backup quarterback. Like, my story on that one is Mitch Trubisky. Like, Trubisky went and took a job last year backing up maybe the best player in the NFL. And we were like, why would he do that?
He rebuilt his whole deal.
Just sat there, did nothing. And the very following year, people are like, we think you're a starter again, because people are just inherently in love with the backup quarterback. So you're right. It is a way to play this, which would be stay, be the backup,
Be healthy.
be healthy. Maybe you get a game and you look good. The 49ers win like they usually do when they play with you.
You could replace a guy and take off and win the Super Bowl.
But you're asking two sides to do something that my read is they don't want to do, which is A, you're asking Jimmy to just be like, dude, you're a backup. And B, you're asking the 49ers to keep him, and they've shown zero inclination to do that. They have told everybody on the inside this man is not on the team. He's not on the team. Like, he didn't no OTAs, no camp. Don't come on the field. Don't travel with us to Minnesota. You're not on the team. You're going to switch that for week one? That's a hell of an about face.
If you just said to me, are the Niners going to the Super Bowl? I would say I've got a few questions, but one of them is Trey Lance. So if you could get Jimmy at a reduced salary, I would be interested. I absolutely would be interested. Also, I really believe that quarterback is far and away the most important position. So if you have a stocked quarterback depth chart, I think that's advantage you. And if you do get him to restructure to stay and he takes $10 million or $12 million, guess what? Now you, instead of having a day or two to make this decision, you've got up until the trade deadline to see if somebody gets hurt. Now you got a quarterback who's more attractive. Why? Because he's $12 million or $10 million as opposed to 24. Now you got probably a bunch of interested teams. Now, as soon as anybody goes down, your guy's sitting right there. If I'm John Lynch, I'm thinking about that. You know, maybe I could have the insurance policy and for a few more weeks, and I could potentially turn this into a day two pick because somebody loses a player and I've got a $12 million quarterback right there. They already kind of know that Jimmy's going to be a good soldier, that he's going to be a professional, that he's not going to be Baker Mayfield, that he's not going to be some island unto himself. So, in a way, it's like, what's best for the franchise? I want to see Lynch do what's best for the franchise. And if I think what's best for the franchise is having insurance and getting something of value for Jimmy. And if you keep him on the roster and reduce his contract, essentially you could get it all.
So I don't disagree with any of your premise, but I think it's in the fantasy land. Because you, as you're speaking,
but you're painting Trey as a total like
no,
like a flower.
No,
like he can't possibly be. He's going to somehow be ruined by this.
No. Set that aside for a second. You are welcoming a quarterback controversy. I think Trey could mentally handle it. Can the sideline? Can the fan base? Can all of the discussion that will go on?
Can the fan base handle? Would John Lynch survive if he released Jimmy Garoppolo? Lance got hurt. Garoppolo winds up in Seattle, and miraculously they win 9 games and go to the playoffs. Would John Lynch even have a gig? So I think you got to factor all these things in.
But Larry, the reason I say it's fantasy land is you're talking about it as if Jimmy would even agree to that, and I don't think he will.
What are the better options? Would you rather be healthy in San Francisco with a chance to win a ring, or potentially heading into the most important free agent year of your life, banged up because you played on a bad team?
We can debate that, but it appears to me that they've decided Seattle is the answer to your question. It appears to me they've decided, it's clear they've had those conversations, they've decided they'd rather try to be the starter in Seattle. When I say they, I'm talking about Jimmy and his team, his agent. But furthermore, this isn't about whether or not Trey can handle it. Understand, you're welcoming in a new 49er era. It would take one loss in a social media era. You lose to the Bears, and these phone lines would be chalked to the gills with people on Monday morning saying, you got to go back to Jimmy. And that's not okay.
I can block that out. I can block that out.
You can block it out, but can they?
Is that worse, Mark, than
that's not good?
What are people going to say if you're going to Sudfeld and Purdy's doing well somewhere else and Garoppolo's doing well somewhere else. They're going to say the 49ers can't handicap quarterbacks, and they've kept the guy they shouldn't have kept, and they let two guys go.
But you're presupposing injury. You're presupposing something that you're hoping does not happen at all this year. I mean, yes, it might, but again,
I'm just trying to win the Super Bowl, this year's Super Bowl.
Me
and
too.
to me, the
too.
best way to win the Super Bowl is to have multiple options, multiple quarterbacks. I don't believe Nate Sudfeld can win games.
I think the best way to do it is
he might be the number 2.
I think the best way to do it is to start with a cohesive locker room. It's something that the 49ers have valued all along, and if you got both these guys in the room and both active on game day, I think you got a problem. I think you've got a real problem. That goes way deeper than just Trey's mental side.
I don't think
so. It goes way deeper than that.
I don't think the players are going to fracture. I think you're going to have a distraction among the fans.
You just said it. You said Trent Williams. Like, how patient is Trent Williams going to be if Trey's out there struggling? Be like, come on, get Jimmy in here.
But the alternative is that you kiss off Garoppolo, you get rid of Purdy, and you're standing there with Nate Sudfeld in week 3, and you're looking at Trent Williams, and maybe he's like, you know what, guys, I'd like to be somewhere else.
Stop worrying about the backup. Stop worrying about the backup. I'm signing up for 17 games for Trey Lance. Yeah. I'm signing up for that. And that's what every team's signing up for. 17 games from their starting quarterback. And if you don't get it, you're probably in trouble. That's just reality in the NFL.
Yeah,
reality in the NFL.
I know. But, I mean, ultimately, Montana and Young and Bono all played, and Walsh was not an idiot. Walsh was pretty smart.
That was one season.
It was, but, I mean, I'm just saying options are always nice to have. I don't know. To me, I look at the 49ers, and I have a different feeling than I did even 6 months ago, because I'm looking at the rest of the conference, and I'm saying, who can beat the 49ers in the NFC? And I don't believe in Green Bay. I don't believe in the Rams because of their lack of depth. I don't believe in really anybody. Tampa's got a 45-year-old quarterback and a banged-up offensive line, and Godwin's not the same player that he used to be. So I'm not buying Tampa. I'm not buying Green Bay. I'm sure as hell not buying Dallas, Guru. I'm not buying your Cowboys. I ain't buying the Eagles.
I'm with you.
I don't see. I mean, the Niners have a great opportunity to go to the Super Bowl this year if they can get reasonable quarterback play.
I agree totally.
I don't care about upsetting Trey's feelings. I don't care about guys in the locker room who may pick sides. I'm not worried about, the Willard and Dibs show blowing up with, calls. I'm not worried about any of that.
No.
I'm more worried about, hey, you know what? I got 14 games left and I got Nate Sudfeld.
No.
That's a concern. That's my biggest concern.
I'm worried about you moved heaven and earth for Trey Lance. So that solid quarterback play needs to come from him. It's got to come from him.
Yeah, but what if you could get something for Jimmy? You could have it all, Mark. You could get the renegotiation. You could get a better backup quarterback, a reasonable insurance plan, and an asset that before the deadline. When's the deadline? It's like week 6 or week 7.
And a mess.
You might be able to then get rid of Jimmy for a second-round pick or a third-round pick because you got a $12 million proven entity that's right there, and some team could be desperate.
You have a scenario, and I get it. Again, your premise, I accept. I just think, man, you're welcoming a lot of potholes.
There's a big circus element.
A lot of potholes to your road.
I'm not worried about the circus because the NFL is a circus, and guess what? If you get rid of the quarterback and you are leaning on Nate Sudfeld, man, and you're not winning games. Every potential other option is going to look really, really good once you're leaning on Sudfeld. So, yeah, your game plan is banking on Trey's health, but Trey only played 2 games last year, played a little bit in the preseason and got hurt.
I'd rather bank on Trey's health than sending Trey out for what we've all stated is going to, at minimum, be a sometimes bumpy ride, knowing that the world can't handle that if Jimmy's standing there. The world can handle that if Sudfeld or Purdy is standing there. Can't handle it if Jimmy's standing there.
But Jimmy could handle it, and so could Trey.
Yeah, absolutely. But the world is bigger than those two guys. And I don't even know if I want Jimmy. Like, can Jimmy handle it? As I said during changeover, I want to knock on that. Is anybody do you have any emotions? I started thinking about it. Have we ever seen Jimmy get into a wide receiver on the sideline? Have we ever?
He's like a Ken doll.
He's
just always smiling.
Just smiling.
It's a perfect smile.
Hey, I get it. Some people are wired that way, but man, This guy's Slack runs forever. Like, when does he ever get mad or speak up for himself? When? When does he come out and be like, what about me?
Maybe he has some knockdown, drag-out conversations with Don
Maybe
Yee.
he does. Maybe he does.
Seriously, because you're right. Publicly, he does not give you any picture of discontent at any point. He's like easy breezy.
Like, we go, but he learned under Brady and Belichick. Brady loses his cookies every quarter.
Yeah.
On the field, screaming at refs, receivers, offensive coordinators. Jimmy is just like,
If a receiver drops just a flat dime Jimmy doesn't even frown.
Just like pat him on the back.
Just like,
we're coming. Yeah,
hey, we're coming
to you next time.
I'm rich.
Yeah.
I'm good looking, and you know what? Things are going to be all right.
Okay, couple of things to get to. In addition to your phone calls, so those of you waiting to weigh in on this, we're coming to you next at 888-957-9570. Comcast Business text line as well. If the 49ers keep Jimmy tomorrow, is it doing him dirty? We can definitely take your calls on that. We have got John Mulaney, one of the great comedians out there right now. We've got tickets at the Concord Pavilion to give away coming up this hour. Plus, Ian Rappaport has just sent out yet another brick on the wall in the Jimmy Garoppolo story.
There's a tease.
We will have that for you coming up next. Larry is in for Dibs. Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game.
Jerry Rice live on YouTube and Twitch via Zoom on the Morning Roast.
Is there a player comp that you possibly had for Trey Lance when you worked with him and caught a few passes?
And I know people are going to go crazy if I say this. It didn't take me long to adjust to Joe Montana. And I felt the same way with Trey Lance.
The best 49ers coverage is right here. Bang, bang, on 95.7 The Game.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Breathe new life into life at home with IKEA Festival. 10 topics, one purpose. To get more out of the homes we love. What are you passionate about? Art? Dance? Music? Food? Fur babies? Get inspired, create, and share with us. With celebrations, giveaways, IKEA family offers, and live streams with expert advice. It's all happening at IKEA Festival. Join us from August 26th through September 10th online or at your local IKEA store. Learn more at IKEA-USA.com.
Are you ready for your palm reading, my dear?
Yeah, let's do this.
I sense that you crave something.
More reliable.
Right. You know you deserve better and want out of a relationship.
Yes, with my big name wireless carrier.
You're who now?
My big name wireless carrier. That's why I switched to Xfinity Mobile. Now I get unlimited with 5G for $30 per month on the most reliable 5G network.
Let's talk about your aura. It's so...
And get this. They can even save you hundreds a year on your wireless bill over T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon.
Wow, that's actually really impressive.
Yep, but you already knew that, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I definitely saw this coming.
Start seeing savings today. Switch to the fastest mobile service, Xfinity Mobile. Now with the best price on 2 lines of unlimited, just $30 a line per month. Switch today. Xfinity Internet required. Price comparison for 2 unlimited lines under available 5G pricing plans of top 3 carriers. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced speeds up to 20 gigabytes of usage per line. Most reliable based on root metrics. US report. Comcast analysis of mobile Wi-Fi and cellular data from Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Q2 2022.
Everything, our farm, our stand, our pop-up shop, it really all started when we discovered the benefits of local, raw honey for our family.
And then we decided to turn it into a business.
We were looking for something to help us get up and running.
So we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account.
It's more than a bank account. It comes with Quick Accept, which lets us take card payments anytime, anywhere in the U.S. using the Chase mobile app. Plus, we get same-day deposits at no extra cost. For us, it's more than honey. It's about sharing a little sweetness with the world.
Get the Chase Business Complete Banking Account with the essentials you need to help get your business going. Learn more at chase.com/business-complete-banking. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Quick Accept is not available in U.S. territories. Enrollment required. Usage subject to approval. Same-day deposits available for payments before 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday to Friday. Fees and rates apply for checking and processing. Limitations and restrictions apply. Participants compensated. Merchant services provided by Payment Tech LLC and WePay Inc. Subsidiaries of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Some fans gear up for game day, but some fans follow their team every day. That's why the Locked On Podcast Network has a daily podcast for your favorite NFL team. Every trade, every overtime win, every game. Our local experts cover the biggest stories around your team every day. Search Locked On plus your favorite NFL team on the Odyssey app or wherever you get podcasts. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, so how crazy high are these gas prices right now, right? I mean, I filled up my car the other day, and I thought for that price, I could buy a couple of pairs of Skechers and pretty much walk everywhere. Plus, unlike gas, not only is Skechers affordable, they also last a really long time. Skechers are extremely durable, and many are machine washable. And they're so comfortable. With comfort features like Skechers' famous air-cooled memory foam, Relax Fit, Wide Fit, Arch Fit, plus so many other fits and features. Find your perfect pair of Skechers at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
This is a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup sound experiment. We're looking to find the perfect way to hear Reese's so you'll buy more of them. Here we go. Reese's, 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 Reese's. Hey, get out of here, you little stinker. Reese's,
Reese's. Reese's.
Peanut Butter Cups. That breathy one sounded very creepy, am I right?
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Elise and Carl's Bakery needed a small business loan fast, but instead of going to On Deck, Carl called
Lone Falcon!
Really? Carl?
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your loan as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck. Depending on certain loan attributes, your business loan may be issued by OnDeck or Celtic Bank, a Utah Chartered Industrial Bank member FDIC. Limited eligibility for same-day funding. OnDeck does not lend in every state. All loans subject to lender approval.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, kgmz-fm at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
All right, what's going on at Twitch? What's going on YouTube? Hello, text line, Comcast Business text line, 888-957-9570. Yeah, there are some names being released that are interesting. The top of the list right now is Jaquiski Tartt. Just got let go by the Eagles. Jimmy Ward on the shelf for at least 4 games. Seems like a no-brainer, right?
I would definitely do that. I would be interested in Jaquiski. Now, I like Jaquiski personally. I think he's a good guy, and I think he's a good fit for this defense. And look what you got at safety. You got George Odom, special teamer. You got Tarvarius Moore, takes bad angles. Taylor Hawkins, Dante Johnson, Tayshaun Gibson. I mean, I think Tartt's probably better than their other options.
Yeah, it's fascinating that the Eagles made it that clean and that quick and a day before the deadline and all of that. You wonder what happened in Eagles camp, how Jaquiski Tartt didn't make the team. That's a little surprising.
Yeah, it is.
So who knows what it is they know that, or sometimes it is just, sometimes it's your surroundings. Jaquiski, maybe he coming back to a spot where he's very familiar and knows everything that's going on and he's playing around players that he knows. It would seem to make all the sense in the world. So we'll check that out. But with the Garoppolo situation tomorrow, there's a further question to ask and also something for you to hear, because the idea of Seattle doesn't just come from common sense, which is that they don't really have a good starting quarterback. And Pete Carroll has sort of handled the battle, if you will, up there between Geno Smith and Drew Lock. He sort of handled it like there was just no intensity around it the whole time. He's kind of like, Geno start this one. Drew's going to start that one. Drew got COVID. Okay. Yeah, Geno this, that, low. And they've said it just feels like they knew something the rest of the world didn't. And then high-level reporters started coming out and saying, yes, there's interest in Seattle. Matty Mayoko says the 49ers believe he's going to Seattle. Seattle. And then Ian Rappaport earlier today on the Pat McAfee show says this.
I would be surprised if he ended up in Seattle under any circumstances.
Okay.
I mean, like, whether release or trade. You know what I mean? Like, I would be, if they release him, like, I don't know that Seattle would be the spot he would end up. Because if he's released, like, I don't know where Seattle's going to be, but I think it's fair to say there's some questions about the roster, certainly very young. A lot of unproven guys. And I don't know how good they're going to be. If you're Jimmy G and you get released, might it make sense to just say, you know what, I'm going to wait for a contender? And I have not even gotten the sense that Seattle is, like, clamoring over him either. So I would say, I've been surprised before. So this is not totally definitive, but I would be surprised if he ended up in Seattle.
How's that grab you?
That is interesting. One, I don't think Jimmy's a great fit for Seattle. Why? Because Jimmy throws kind of a not very accurate deep ball. And who's their deep threat? Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf?
Oh, and Lockett.
But I'm saying Metcalf's like their deep threat, and I don't see Jimmy and DK hooking up a whole lot.
But Geno Smith and Drew Lock, you see them hooking up a whole lot?
No, but I did talk to Softy Mahler from up there at KGR last week, and he was like, hey, the people here don't care about Jimmy Garoppolo. They'd rather go with Geno Smith, Drew Lock, struggle for a year and go get somebody in the draft.
That's interesting. We went up to Seattle for a conversation with Salk just last week, and he said people are totally clamoring for Jimmy. Based on it. So who knows on that? It is it, though, the idea if he's cut at some point, then it does bring new people to the party. We've seen all the people who aren't interested in trade. That's different than being interested in a free agent. So if he is released, Seattle seems like the clearest path to go play right away. But then
what do you guys for the Rams?
Maybe Cleveland. That's actually the dark horse that scares me.
Yeah, because that's the Rams,
one that scares me.
Now the Rams have a legitimate second quarterback that they potentially could win games with.
No doubt they could.
And Stafford's elbow was one of their biggest concerns.
Right. So there's another sort of potential embarrassing way for this to play out for the 49ers, which I think furthers the point of keeping him on the roster tomorrow and not allowing him to go prepare anywhere in a place that may end up coming back to bite you. Now, I said about a week ago on this show, if you hold him all the way up to the deadline, there is an aspect of this that I think is doing him a little bit dirty. I know that as a team, you've got to look out for the team first. He's under contract. They've paid him handsomely. They don't need to say they're sorry. None of that stuff. This isn't a soft point. But I do think when you say at the end of last year, look, Jimmy's been amazing for us. This was a hell of a ride. We went to a Super Bowl. We got within 7 minutes of the top of the mountain. He was dealt a tough hand this year, handled it perfectly. We would like to find Jimmy a nice landing spot so he can continue his career. With that, holding him to September 9th does not jive with that statement. But I jive with the idea of if you're worried about him going to the Rams or Seattle, I get it. I understand why you'd be doing it that way.
Is it worth holding him all the way until the last possible moment just to not have him ready to play you in week 2? Like if that was the plan, like, hey, you know what?
I think it's bigger than that.
We just don't want him to. We don't want to play him in week 2. We don't want to hand them a ready-made quarterback that knows our system and share all that intel. Who knows the most about your system? Fred Warner and Jimmy Garoppolo. Your inside backer, your green dot wearing inside backer, and your quarterback. So is that why you're keeping him separate from the team? Because there's going to be a parting, and you don't want that awkwardness or that information being traded.
I just think
that's part of it. Could be part of it.
That absolutely could be part of it. I don't think they want to let him be part of the team because then it looks like he's part of the team. I mean, the impression I've gotten the whole time, and I know it's still been hard for all of us, the media and the fans, to move off of the idea of Jimmy the backup. Jimmy could be the backup. That'd be a great backup. He'd be the best backup in the NFL. And we're right on that point. And I think that's precisely why the 49ers have played camp the way they've played it, which is Jimmy's not on this team. He's not stop. Jimmy's not on the team. Could they do a last-second reversal? I guess they could, but they'd have to be very aware that is not a good look. Like, we invested in Trey. We've played Trey area. But that's what it feels like.
I mean, yes.
That's a terrible look. It's a terrible look.
It is a terrible look. But if you're Jimmy, I do understand the report from Rappaport, because let's say the 49ers are going to move on from him. Now Jimmy's sitting there going, okay, well, now what's my best play? Maybe his best play is just to wait around and see which quarterback goes down and then make a decision, in a month. Sit there and make that decision in a month. Maybe, who knows? Maybe a Super Bowl contending team loses their quarterback. Who knows? Maybe Matt Ryan goes down in Indy, and now suddenly you've got the Colts sitting there. But wait a second, I already signed on to play with Seattle. Well, I'm passed up on an opportunity to go play for the Colts. Well, or maybe he views the Browns as a better situation. The Browns have a better roster than Seattle, that's for sure.
They sure do. I've thought for a while I'm surprised the Browns haven't made a move on this whole thing. But again, that's why my question is starting to get to the Jimmy camp. Because it's like, what is it you're doing that has led to this moment? And it must mean that they've played harder ball than you would expect with regard to the contract. Because no one, 49ers included, in my opinion, no one's paying him $24.5 million this year. So if no one's going to do that, you don't have the leverage to say, no, I'm not taking a pay cut. It's like, yeah, you are. Right.
What are your choices?
We're going to cut you, and then you're going to be on the open market where somebody can try to offer you what? What do you think he'd get right now? Just open market poof.
Who would be coming knocking? I think the teams that might knock on the door would be the Rams, the Seahawks, the Saints. Right? They've got Jameis, but possibly the Saints.
Possibly Cleveland. How about Miami?
Maybe Detroit.
Does McDaniel want him to back up Tua?
There you go. Miami might be a good option. Washington could be a good option if the price was right.
Right, like
the New York Giants. What happened to Tyrod Taylor this weekend?
They said, he got carted off, but they said he's going to be okay. They didn't think it was serious, but who knows if they're telling us the truth?
Yeah,
I got no idea.
They didn't pick up the 5th-year option on Danny. Don't throw dimes.
Yeah, exactly.
So those are the in-conference teams. The Jets. What's Zach Wilson's injury?
Yeah,
do we know?
And this idea that
Atlanta,
Robert Saleh, Joe Flacco looks amazing. Well, I don't know. Did you watch that game the other day? I mean,
right?
Thrown one of the silliest interceptions I've ever seen a quarterback throw. But what are the Jets really trying to achieve this year? Do they want to go get a high-priced guy to grind out victories? I mean, that actually doesn't even... That's the other thing that we don't think about. Some of these teams were like, you could use Jimmy. They're like, no, he might win.
Right.
We don't want that.
We're hoping for a top 10 pick.
Right, let's be honest. How does it help Seattle to, instead of grinding out 5 wins, to get to 7? How does that help them? It just moves them 5 spots down the draft board.
I mean, but this is the NFL. I mean, there are people. Louis Riddick was saying, "Oh man, Seattle looks great, and they're just a quarterback away from being a contending team."
Come on, in this division,
I mean,
I have a hard time buying that.
It's such a it's such a quarterback-centric league that you need that quarterback. So it's like you got to kind of reassess each of these teams once you find out who their quarterback actually is. Like if you put Jimmy in Seattle, what would they actually look like? If you put him in Cleveland, could Cleveland be a contender? You got to kind of think all these options through. But yeah, it seems like if his contract was less, there would be half dozen teams probably interested.
Waiting, and this goes for so many things in life, waiting is often good. I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you mentioned Trent Williams earlier. Let's not forget his history. He sat there and just didn't blink at Washington for a year and a half. And just like, nope.
What if the Niners
and then
cut
he
him
ended up
loose?
as the left tackle of the San Francisco
I know.
49ers. Like, poof, I'm the best left tackle in football again.
Seriously.
So, sometimes we see guys go away, and it doesn't ever look the same. I mean, Cleveland, this is scary what they did with Deshaun. I don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. He didn't play football. By the time he gets back, almost 2 years since he's actually played in an NFL game. I don't know what it's going to look like, but some guys, hell, Mike Vick went to jail, came back, and looked better. So I don't, maybe waiting if you're Jimmy is exactly the thing you would do. Maybe you get cut and just be like, I'm going to sit here and wait.
What if the Niners cut him loose at the last second? Trey plays 5 games, goes 5-0, and then gets an injuries out for the year. And you're looking at Sudfeld. Oh, but wait a second. Jimmy hasn't signed yet. But wait a second. We cut him 5 weeks ago. Now he's sitting out there.
I'm over here. I'd
love to hear that.
I don't want to entertain any of your scenarios that involve Trey getting hurt. My scenario is Trey plays 17 games this year, or at least 15, something like that. You know what I mean? Give me. You're a young guy. You learned how to slide. Give me a healthy year. Can we? Is that so much to ask?
Seriously. And then the other big question is also, what do you do at quarterback? I put a poll out there. Who's the Niners' second best quarterback? And 70% of the people, it was like 600 people voted in a 24-hour poll, said 70% said Brock Purdy.
I'll take Purdy
over Sudfeld. I would too.
Yeah, I would too. I know they gave Sudfeld a few guaranteed bucks.
Maybe that's enough to make him stick around if you cut him.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know who makes it through waivers.
What options does
and
he have?
all that. Yeah, I don't know, but and I also never really know what to do with what we see in the preseason. I've just learned through the years. It's like you see stuff, but then it doesn't end up meaning anything in the regular season. But what Brock Purdy has done is interesting. It wasn't great. It was, second half, third string, and he had some really bad throws too. But he looks comfortable. He looks calm when he's got the ball in his hands, and that's a lot to say.
Throwing strikes and the ball's coming out on time.
For a rookie, Mr. Irrelevant, that's saying a lot. His feet look calm.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued by that. Let's go out to you at 888-957-9570. Dre in Lemoore. Larry Krueger, of course, is here in for Dibs. You're on Willard and Dibs. Dre, what are you doing?
Actually, I am driving. I drove a car to Phoenix this weekend. And I'm driving one from Arizona to Utah right now.
Dude,
nice.
Dude, I've done that drive. That is a haul.
It's a hot country, isn't it? You get outside the Bay Area, it's pretty hot in August.
You know what? I was in a little ski resort up in the mountains type town in the last couple of days. It was nice. Very nice.
What's your thought, man?
Phoenix sucked. It was
a little too hot.
That's a hot take. It's not necessarily what we're talking about right now, but I get it, Dre. Yeah, Phoenix, that whole area, people are high on. It's too flat. I'm like, I never know where I am. There's no. You look right, you look left. It's just a house.
I'm like, forget the dry heat too. It's 112.
Yeah. Anyway, Dre, what'd you call about, dude?
Okay, well, first thing, I just listened to what you guys were saying about preseason. Preseason means absolutely nothing. I remember when we had Boobie Dixon on the team. That man could be...
Oh, see?
Boobie was good in the preseason.
Said Boobie, and your phone was like, you're not allowed to do that.
It is true, though, seriously. People, I don't worry at all.
Nothing.
I don't worry about a team playing well or poorly in the preseason, because in the preseason, you're just laying your guys out there. There's no scouting report. There's no game planning. There's no attacking any weakness on defense. It's just, here it is. And that's a totally different deal than the regular season.
Well, the final score, I really don't care about. Certain times there are individuals. I mean, obviously, you're looking at a football player, and it's like, okay, how does he look? I mean,
Sure.
they're playing these games so that the coaches can look at the guys. So there's certain things that you can take from it. But
conditioning.
I don't know. I mean, it's such a team game. So, like, let's even take the offensive line, which as the further we get away from the Houston game, the more video I'm seeing where they're like, you know what? The interior of the line wasn't actually that bad. It was more coming from the ends, and those aren't the guys who are going to be playing in the actual games. And secondarily, I'm a big believer in, like, what you achieve in football has a lot to do with who's next to you. And I mean, like, the cohesion of an offensive or defensive line, a secondary, the way they're running around out there. We watched it. 49ers get 2 interceptions one year. Then they get a pass rush, and the same guys are picking balls off everywhere. So it's who's around you. So am I to evaluate you as an individual when you're next to Bob from the grocery store, or you're next to Trent Williams?
Right.
Like, that totally changes what you're going to look like. So it's very hard for me to get overly wrapped up in what we see in August.
I know, but people do draw these incredible conclusions from, oh man, the Niners looked really bad. Who cares? I mean, seriously, who cares?
17-0, if you're worried about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's
just a non-starter.
Right.
I'm totally with you on that.
It means less than nothing.
Kyle in Sunnyvale is next up on Willard and Dibs. Larry in for Dibs. Hey, Kyle, what are you doing?
Hey, how are you guys doing? I just got home. Hopefully I could help you guys a little bit with the Jimmy situation.
We could use some help, Kyle.
Yes,
Thank you for calling. Really appreciate it. Go ahead.
Okay, so this goes back to the beginning of offseason. What did John Lynch say? He said, we view our quarterback situation from a position of power. So
yep.
I'll bet anything that Jimmy's going to be on the roster tomorrow unless we get an offer that is worth his value. And I think it's becoming clear the rest of the league doesn't value him as for a third-round pick, for a second-round pick. And the Niners, we can hold out for that. And, basically, I just think that we're a stronger football team with Jimmy on the roster, and that's the bottom line.
Well, you had me until the last sentence, and this is where I still think, and this is going to be an old habit that dies hard. Like, the 49ers have done everything in their power to be like, he's not on the team. He's not on the team. He's not on the team. And everyone's like, he should be on the team. He's going to be on the team. They're like, he's not on the team. No, but he could be on the team. But the previous point, the 49ers are coming from a place of power. Right, they are. They have a quarterback who's been a winning quarterback in the NFL, and they would like to give him away. That is a powerful position. Nobody else in the NFL has that. Rarely does anyone have that, and they certainly don't have that in late August, early September. And the 49ers have that. And what's interesting to me about tomorrow is there's an obvious game of chicken going on here. It's just low stakes instead of high stakes. There's a game of chicken going on here. I do think there'd be plenty of interest in Jimmy, provided that he's released. Is that no one has to pay very much for him. So what does that mean? That means that there would be plenty of people interested tomorrow if he's cut, and everyone believes he's going to be cut. Well, what if he's not? So that moves the game of chicken. So if you do want Jimmy, it's like, well, Niners are willing to use a roster spot on him now. Do you need to call now and offer something? I don't know.
Nothing ever gets done in sports until there's a deadline. If there's a deadline, why is that? Because it's about leverage. It's about, as you say, a game of chicken. 49ers probably want a higher price than they've been offered, and they're like, you know what? Why cut them today when we're going to have a practice tomorrow and somebody potentially could be hurt tomorrow? In our practice and somebody else's practice. So the dynamic of the quarterback position when you're dealing in supply and demand, right now there's not a lot of demand.
Right.
But that could change.
There will be at some point.
Yeah, that could
like
change.
We have an NFL season to play here. All those fantasy rosters that you all just drafted, they're all going to get blown up.
Right.
All of them.
Somebody's going down.
All going to go down.
That's the other reason, like, I never like to bet overs on the NFL because we're always looking at the roster as it is now. They're not going to get more guys. They're going to get, every team's going to have fewer guys. So it's just a matter of.
That's a great point.
You know what I mean? Bet the under and maybe you'll be right.
Absolutely. Yeah, no one is going to get better between now. And that's it. I never, that win-loss game. Oh, well, the Niners have Atlanta in December. That's a win.
Right.
Well, who's playing? I don't know who's even on the team at that point. Dre has called back. That dead span in Utah swallowed him up, but he's back. Hi, Dre. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for taking my call back. The guy that talked after me, he was right. I think the rest of the league, they don't evaluate Jimmy as we do. That's for sure. I would like for them to hold out to the last possible minute. You never know who's going to get hurt or what's going to happen. But Jimmy is just, in the eyes of the rest of the NFL, he's just not there. And I think we've all known it as fans ourselves.
Yeah, see, I think that's taking it a little too far. Like when you say, and thanks, Dre, thanks for calling back. When he says the rest of the league doesn't evaluate Jimmy the way we do.
He's not a top 100 guy on the list.
I think that's the way we evaluate him, actually. Like I do, I think...
Isn't that list put together by the players, though?
Yeah, and what was he, like 106?
Yeah.
He was like right outside of it, right? I mean, I think the league looks at Jimmy the same way we do. I think we've all kind of gathered a somewhat happy medium. I know I'm more on his side than others tend to be amongst the Bay Area media, but that's more... of an appreciation thought, an acknowledgement of the success they've had. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think sometimes he gets talked about like he's a piece of junk, which I don't think he is either.
He's top 20.
Yes. And
maybe he's
debatable
17.
15. Debatable 15, that's the highest point. I'd agree with that. But I also, like, there's an acknowledgement to it's worked. It hasn't worked all the way to the very, very top, but it's been good, right? It's been good. Like 5 years when he plays, they're good. Fact?
It's been good, but the injuries have kept him out of it.
Yep.
So that the injuries obviously the 49ers made an evaluation that he wasn't good enough for them.
Right, or that they felt like they could do better.
Right.
They felt like they could do better.
That's the other thing, by the way. I'm watching the game the other night. Kirk Herbstreit's like, what's up with 49er fans thinking they could do better with Trey Lance? Hey, how about direct that towards the guys who actually are doing it?
Yeah, exactly.
Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch.
Yeah, don't point to the fans.
Don't point at the fans. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan made the determination that Jimmy wasn't good enough, not the fans.
I think that they felt all along, we like Jimmy. We really like Jimmy. They don't love Jimmy. I think that's how they feel. And I think that's how a lot of fans feel.
Yeah.
But in the emotional moment that we like you, we don't love you, turns into we hate you. In the moment. When he throws the bad pick, it's we hate you. We'll see on this one because Trey's going to throw bad picks too. They all do. They all throw some bad picks.
The question is Jimmy good enough to win? Can you win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo?
I think you can. I mean, when you're 7 minutes away, is there a scenario where he wins it? Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
the guy's been once.
He's been close.
Once he's been to the last leg of the tour, and then another time, like a breath away from being to the last leg of the tour. Like, is there a scenario where that guy wins one? Yeah. I don't think you're the favorite every year, and I don't know that they're the favorite this year. I think they should be the favorite in the NFC if Trey is just competent. I'm totally with you on that point. If Trey is just solid, they're the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, they have the best roster in the NFC. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I mean, I like the Rams top of the roster, but last year, the Rams top 4 players of Stafford and Donald and Ramsey and Kupp missed one game combined. Mm-hmm. That's likely not to going to happen again.
Aaron Donald should miss the first 2 games just for his behavior last week.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. But the Rams are just a top-heavy team. Everybody else, I think, doesn't have as good a roster as the 49ers. So, to me, if they were... I'd be more eager to get down the road on Jimmy if there was something that you were going to earmark that money for. But when you really look at your team right now, you might having that second quarterback might be your best ticket, the best thing you could do for your chances of actually reaching this year's Super Bowl in Arizona.
It's all brought to you by Total Wine and More. Just visited Total Wine and found my favorite Cabernet at the lowest price, and with their incredible selection and expert guides, even found myself a new favorite. Always love what you find at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly, be 21, and also be with us coming up next. First of all, Robin's on the phone, so we're going to keep going on this for sure. Also, John Mulaney tickets He's hysterical, truly. I watch him on Netflix all the time, and we've got tickets to see him. We'll give those away coming up next. And then also, Jeff Schwartz joins us at the top of the hour. We have some Giants stuff to get to also, and some of it is stuff that you may not see coming. An all-time Giants great, maybe the all-time Giants great, was involved based on another team over the weekend in something that surprisingly made me uncomfortable. So we'll get to all of that coming up next. Larry's in for Dibs. Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game.
I'm Michael Jenkins, helping you beat the books with BetQL. The Blue Jays had a rough weekend against the Angels, losing all 3 games at home, but they're in a good bounce-back spot with the Cubs in town. Chicago will be starting a rookie pitcher making just his 2nd career start, so the Toronto Bats will look to come alive after scoring just 3 runs over the weekend. With the Blue Jays offense set to break out, the BetQL play of the day is Toronto over the Cubs.
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward and master 5th grade math.
I can't do this. It's impossible.
Not you, Dad. Your daughter. Staples will help her move forward.
Right.
Right now, Staples 1-subject notebooks are just 35 cents each. Plus, during the backpack clearance event, you'll save up to 50% on select backpacks, lunch bags, and water bottles. Staples, this year we're not going back. We're going forward to school. In-store only, ends 9/3, limit 30 on notebooks.
I just visited Total Wine and found my favorite Cabernet at the lowest price. And with their incredible selection and expert guides, I even found myself a new favorite. Always love what you find at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. B21.
Jerry Rice live on YouTube and Twitch via Zoom on the Morning Roast.
I think the guy that's really gonna have a breakout year is Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because, with all that single coverage and all of that, and all that attention going on George Kittle too, this guy, he got to blossom this year.
Jerry Rice with the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
O'Reilly! Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines to dissipate heat and reduce friction and wear. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $33.99. Try Syntec today, exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If you owe back taxes to the IRS, have unfiled returns, or are worried about an audit, the IRS is hiring 87,000 new agents to address these very issues. That means if you need to get your tax problems resolved, now is the time to get started. I'm tax attorney Robert Goldstein, and my firm specializes in helping individuals and small businesses resolve their tax problems. We work to stop IRS and state seizures. We may be able to settle your tax debt for pennies on the dollar with an offer in compromise. We prepare your past due returns, even if you have no records, and represent you before the IRS and state in an audit. At the law offices of Robert Goldstein, the consultation is always free, and we have offices located throughout the Bay Area. To schedule your free consultation, call 1-888-TAX-EXIT. That's 888-TAXEXIT. 888-TAX-EXIT, and make us your last stop.
Bart is turning 50, and we'd love to celebrate with you. Get 50% off of your ride in honor of Bart's 50 years of service to the Bay Area when you pay with Clipper. That's 50% off Clipper Bart fares for the entire month of September. Add Clipper to your digital wallet for free. If you're eligible for other Clipper discounts like youth or senior fares, you get to take an additional 50% off of those too. Details at bart.gov/50 years. Celebrate Bart's 50 years of service with us this September. Let's go.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-200-1966. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-200-1966. 800-200-1966.
Ceremony Ford is your Bay Area pre-order headquarters for your next Ford. Customize your Ford today and take delivery later. No markups, no additional fees. Pre-order the 2023 Ford F-150 through July 31st and save $1,000 off MSRP. Only at Ceremony Ford. Expect delivery fourth quarter 2022 to 2023.
Progressive presents Forced Metaphors about bundling your home and auto.
When you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, you get great savings and round-the-clock protection, which is as beautiful as looking your firstborn child in the eyes for the first time. Well, that's a bit much. Maybe it's more like looking your second-born child in the eyes for like the third or fourth time. Point being, the savings and round-the-clock protection are really, really magical.
Forced Metaphors. Presented by Progressive. Bundle and protect today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Starting Stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
The Golf Mart, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee, serving Northern California golfers for over 30 years.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Okay. John Mulaney is one of my favorites, and he's coming to Concord Pavilion September 17th. We want to send you to the show. Coming up in mere moments, we'll be giving away a pair of tickets to the show. You just need to listen for our sounder for your chance to win, courtesy of Live Nation. And that sounder is coming up just momentarily. So as soon as you hear that, be ready, and we'll tell you how you can win your way in to see John Mulaney. And then, before we get back to the calls, Larry, I don't know why this hit me.
I love comedy clubs, by the way. I love hitting the comedy clubs.
Yeah, well, and Concord Pavilion's no comedy club. This is a major. This is a major act. But yeah, seriously. I go to Cobb's all the time.
Wow. Tommy T's out in Pleasanton.
Is that the sounder? Okay, that's the sounder. I'm like, is that? Yeah, that's the sounder. So here we go. 2 tickets to see John Mulaney September 17th, Concord Pavilion. It's caller 5 right now. Contest line, please do not call the regular line. It'll get you nowhere, and it'll mess everything up for everybody. So please don't call the regular line. The contest line is 415-951-2386. 415-951-2386. One more time, 415-951-2386. Caller 5 is our winner, courtesy of Live Nation. All right. There's the sounder again, just in case you missed it the first time. Before we go back to the phones, I just have to be honest. This hit me a certain way. Like, I saw it, and I think I was supposed to be like, that's amazing. And I was like, hey, get your hands out of our cookie jar.
I know where you're going.
What are you doing, New York Mets? You can't retire Willie Mays' number. He's not yours. He's ours. Get your hands off of our Willie Mays. You can't retire his, like, great. If Willie loves this, I'll back off and go away. And I guess probably on some level, why wouldn't he?
He does.
But this felt so weird and so wrong. Like, you can't go celebrate Willie Mays. How long was he there? 12 at bats? I mean, like, what was?
Well, he played 51 through 57
in New York.
I
got it.
Came up as a Giant in New York. There's a lot of fans there, a lot of older fans at this point. But yeah, a lot of fans there who, he's a son of New York.
I don't know. Should we retire Oral Hershiser's jersey?
No.
Here in San Francisco?
No.
Randy Johnson, should we retire his jersey?
Steve Carlton.
Like, what are we doing? Like, no, that's just weird. If the Yankees and Mets had gotten together and done like this is a New York thing, we're never wearing that number again in New York because he's also a New York legend, I might have felt differently. But the Mets doing it by themselves, I'm like, no, he's not yours.
Well, okay,
you don't
first
get
of
to
all,
do this.
I'm basically with you. First of all, they never should have traded him to the Mets. Joan Payson could take care of him financially. Horace Stoneham could not. That was the promise that Joan made to Horace when the deal was made. Is that if you make this deal and we trade you Charlie Williams, I think it was like 1972, for Willie Mays, we will take care of Willie after his career. So, and the fact that Willie's now 91, he's a baseball treasure. I agree with the notion that baseball should retire his number 24 across the sport. He was that impactful. I'd rather see that than the Mets do it solely. But you know what? His son was there. He's 91. He's obviously in favor of this, so God bless the Mets for doing it. But it does feel odd, but it felt odd that they even traded him at all. I mean, to the Mets.
Yeah, but that was a long time ago. Like, I wasn't even alive yet. So, it's hard to get hot and bothered about that. I just know that I saw it, and I wanted to just be happy for Willie, but I was like, what?
Well, and why didn't they do it years ago?
Like,
well, and
right.
Where's
this coming from?
It's so out of left field right now. But
are the Chiefs going to have Joe Montana Day tomorrow, and we're supposed to? No, like, leave this alone. Not yours.
I know.
It's ours.
He's a Giant. He's a San Francisco Giant. But
get away from me.
They feel like they feel like they're part of the Willie Mays story, and you know what? As long as Willie's happy with it, I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
And Willie's 91, and Willie doesn't get talked about. And believe it or not, I mean, in my opinion, he doesn't get talked about enough. He doesn't. We don't talk about Willie enough.
Like the best baseball player ever.
Exactly, best baseball player ever. He was the most talented player in baseball's most talented era. So how he doesn't get recognized more is, to me, already kind of something that should be corrected. So if this goes any distance to making him recognized more as the iconic player that he was, then God bless the Mets. But it did seem kind of weird.
No, I like what you say there, because it's just like it's not like I'm actually hot and bothered. It's not a problem. It's
that's our guy.
A nice moment, but I'm just like, where the heck? Like, it just. I have to be honest. I saw it. And I was like, no, you don't get to celebrate Willie out there at Citi Field or whatever the hell you play. Like, no, get your hands off our stuff.
Now, are the Seahawks going to retire Jerry's number?
Exactly. Are the Raiders going to retire every 49ers jersey that's already retired? I mean, anyway. All right, let's get back out to you. 888-957-9570. Larry's in for Dibs. Always love it when Robin calls. Hey, Robin, what are you doing? Thanks for checking in.
I'm sitting here trying to formulate my thoughts so that I don't come across as an idiot, so that I can get the best answer out of you. By the way, I wanted to tell you that that is the dog that they speak of. The fact of the matter is, when I threw my son out, I felt more sorry for the dog because I knew they couldn't take care of him. Well, I ended up owning the damn dog because they never came back and got him. I did go to love him for 2 years. I mean, we just take it for granted. To being a parent is overrated. I'm telling you right now. So, I finally found him a home. This is what inspired me to call in. For the last two callers were saying there's not a fit for the league sees Jimmy the same way we see him.
Yeah.
Basically, what they were saying, code for he's a bum. Okay, so and so as far as I'm concerned, Dak and Derek Carr, they're not too far off. I put Jimmy G in the same kind of category with them because he's certainly better than Wentz and Trubinsky. I mean, so I don't know where these people are getting that from. I do want to say this to you. He was a backup. This is how I looked at it. He's a backup. I didn't expect him to do any more than what he did. People, he's a vet. He just said, no, he wasn't. He was a backup, okay? So then what happens in life sometimes, Willard, and you know this, so he comes in and he wins at the right time, like presidents. You know how somebody becomes a president at the right time because the last guy screwed up? So he came in at the right time, and he performed well, and the expectations were so high, okay? So and it was, all the circumstances were right in terms of, the money and whatever, so they went with him. And so I think Kyle Shanahan plays a part in this too, because I don't really think that he gave him really the tools. He just expected things out of him that he could not do. So now he has a quarterback who's molding him. I don't know if you see it that way. I hope you understand what I'm talking about. But I think that his reason why no one's picked him up is not because he's a bum, you two callers. It's because of his extenuating circumstances that maybe Willard can explain.
Well, Robin, this is a great call, and thank you always for. I mean, yes, perspective, timing is everything is a big sentence in our language for a reason, right? Yes. Who are you following, right? Who got hired when Vin Scully stepped away as the Dodger announcer? Good luck to you, right? Because you're following a legend. Jimmy Garoppolo's coming in when nobody could get a win. What was their record when he arrived?
0-8 or something.
So
0-9.
That changes everything. And does that elevate the way we see him today? Maybe. Did Kyle deserve some credit because he got a lot out of, honestly, all the quarterbacks he's worked with? Yes, but was Jimmy perfect? No. Like, that all factors into how we see him today. I guess the battle I'm always trying to win is not that I'm trying to tell you that Jimmy was a great quarterback. It's that Jimmy's better than you think he is. That's the only battle that I've ever tried to win when it comes to Jimmy. Look around the league. Let me give you a quick, and this is off the top of my head, I'm going to give you a quick list of names, okay? Jacoby Brissett, Mitch Trubisky, Davis Mills, Ryan Tannehill, Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Jared Goff, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz. What do they all have in common? Those are starters in this league, and the rest of you are somehow trying to tell me, the league doesn't want Jimmy. What?
It's all about the price tag.
Right. More than half this league is like, we're not really like what we have at quarterback, or we're trying someone new, or we're doing something, and you're going to tell me that guy can't get a job? Listen, they release him tomorrow, Don Yee's got 15 phone calls, period.
Yeah.
I have no doubt about that.
It's about the price tag. When you get a quarterback and he has a little success, you got to make an evaluation on what's his value. They decided his value is $25 million. Now he's kind of proven that he's not really worth the $25 million, but he's not worth kicking to the curb. He's somewhere in between. But you don't get a redo on that contract. The contract stays with him unless he's willing to redo it. Now, can they redo the contract and make him give him a contract that's more commensurate with his actual value in the league? Possibly. But he's going to have to agree to that at this point. And maybe he would rather be free to cut his own deal somewhere else instead of staying here as the number 2 guy for a more reasonable deal. But there's worse places to be than playing for Kyle Shanahan, making $12 million as the number 2 quarterback, especially if you're trying to usher yourself into next year's free agent window and hopefully, capitalize to the tune of another $20+ million deal.
I agree with that completely. I just think it's a scenario that neither side wants. Neither side's going to agree to that. Like Jimmy, $12 million, be the backup, and a lot of cutaway shots every time Trey has a bad play. I don't think that's what he wants. I will ask you this, though. I asked you off the top of the show, what would you do tomorrow if you're the 49ers? And you said you'd keep him.
I'd keep him.
But and whether it's just to play it out or if it's to actually keep him on the roster this season. What would you do tomorrow if you do get kept? And you're Jimmy. And you're Don Yee. How do you handle that?
I'm staying with what works for me, which is I don't need to speak out in the media. There's no benefit in that. It might make you feel better for the moment, but it's not going to improve your value. It's not going to improve how other teams view you around the league. Right now, you're kind of looked at as a guy who's, staying above the fray, and you're taking the high road. And I think that's always kind of a solid space to be in, as opposed to Baker Mayfield, bitter, I'm out of here, start demanding trades, start demanding things.
Got Baker Mayfield a starting job, though.
It did.
I mean, we've got people named
Baker's also younger and a little bit more potential.
We got people in the league named Denzel Mims who are demanding trades.
Yeah.
So you haven't achieved anything in this league yet. I get that you're mad.
But football players demand trades and don't get traded.
Right.
It's not like the NBA for the most part. NBA players demand to be traded. They get traded for the most part.
But we've never really been down the road of he might get kept the whole year. I mean, Jed York said it a week and a half ago. Like, if I'm Jimmy and you're the Niners and you go, yeah, actually, we may just play this to the trade deadline. We're just going to wait for someone to get hurt. No, we are not moving you and we're willing to pay your salary. If I'm Jimmy, you could either sit there and go, okay, now I'm getting paid handsomely and I'll wait, or do what half the league did this year. I demand a trade. He's still never done that. We didn't think he had to. Maybe he does.
The other factor that I think is a huge factor is you got to take the temperature of the room as far as your players. Are there going to be – you got guys in that room that care a lot about Jimmy Garoppolo. George Kittle is one of them. How are those players going to respond if – are they going to at any point turn away from, man, we're doing what's best for us to, hey, we did Jimmy wrong? If there's going to be some kind of groundswell of, man, the Niners did Jimmy wrong by the veterans in that room, now you're talking about a different dynamic.
Yep.
Now you're talking about something that could get away from you and could be a real negative that could hurt your chances of winning. So it seems like Lynch and Shanahan do enough dialoguing with their players, either indirectly or directly, either through their agents or maybe directly face to face. They don't seem like they have any of those problems.
Yeah, I agree, and I will give you this: that Ian Rappaport comment we heard, which we'll play again in a little bit. The Ian Rappaport comment we heard from earlier today that Seattle is really not into this either. Jimmy knows what we don't. His agents know what we don't. If there isn't anyone out there right now willing to offer even a competition for a starting job, maybe Jimmy does want to chill. Maybe he did
maybe his best offer is to back up Jared Goff in Detroit.
Right. And do you want that? Again, this also comes down to optics. It's been about optics for the 49ers for a while. Now it's going to come down to optics for Jimmy. Where do you want to sit and hide for a year if that's what you need to do? And there are some bad places to do that. So, yeah, maybe this isn't the worst scenario for him to keep playing this out. Again, Trent Williams. There have been plenty of other players who, Odell Beckham for a while. Just go sit over here and we'll figure this out. Sometimes that takes longer than shorter, but it doesn't always end badly. A lot of people want to weigh in. Jeff Schwartz in 10 minutes. Jim in Redwood City. You're on with Willard and Larry. Hey, Jim, what are you doing?
Hey, guys, I just was actually working out and finished up, so I wanted to call in and throw 2 cents at you. Larry,
I know.
Here. I love when you fill in across the board here on 95 The Game. You're awesome.
Appreciate it. Now, what are we working out?
Leg day.
We going power cleans? Or what exactly are we doing here? Deadlifts?
No, I'm just doing a little bit of crunches and push-ups and at home. I hesitate to actually call it a real workout. It's kind of a...
Hey, no, if you're doing crunches, Jim, that counts. All right, what do you got, Jim?
Okay. So, I think it's so funny, this whole Jimmy G situation. Willard, you said something funny that a line a little bit ago that prompted me to call. You said, it's like people are saying, we like you, Jimmy, but we don't love you. And it strikes me as so much this relationship with Jimmy Garoppolo is like a romantic relationship, Is that because he's so pretty or something that people seem to fall in love with him and kind of will excuse all of the missteps and the mistakes on the field, I mean, with Jimmy, he's been a very good quarterback for the Niners. He's helped them to get to the heights that they've gotten to. But we know what his ceiling is. We've seen it. He gets to the big game, he gets under pressure, and he can't handle the pressure. For all of his good attributes that he has with his fast release and his high percentage passing, I mean, in 2019, I think it was he had 69% completion percentage. Very good. But in those big games, I mean, and every game, he has those 2 or 3 passes where it's like, what the heck was he thinking when he threw that pass,
Right.
And it's for that reason and for the reason that he can't handle the pressure that I don't want him on my team. I don't want him as a backup because what is Jimmy going to do if he's behind this line that Lance is running around for his life with? Jimmy will never complete a pass behind this.
Well, I don't know if we actually, Jim, thanks. I don't know if we know exactly what this line's going to be until Trent Williams and Mike McGlinchey are playing on it. I'm not going to rush to judgment, and they may be adding people to this offensive line anyway, literally within the next in the next 24 hours. So the rest of what Jim is saying about Jimmy is true, but I'll go back to my original point. Like the idea of we like you, we don't love you, you're not great in the biggest of games. Do you know how many teams in the NFL would sign up for that? I just gave you a list of about 12 guys who haven't even ever been able to get to a big game in their life, let alone not perform well in it. So being good, not great, does not take you out of play in the NFL at the quarterback position. It actually usually gets you about $20 or $30 million.
I think it's more than anything. It's about defending the whole field. And against Trey Lance, you got to defend the whole field. And against Jimmy Garoppolo, you don't have to defend the whole field.
Yep.
You don't have to defend outside the numbers in the intermediate area. You don't have to defend down the field or outside the numbers deep. So I think Trey is the opposite of that. Trey, you're going to have to defend the whole field. But there's more to playing quarterback than just that. But I think that's really why they moved off of Jimmy, is that defenders knew late in the down, they just cheat in the middle of the field and don't, everybody's leaning up towards the line of scrimmage and everybody's leaning towards the middle of the field and you're cheating towards the middle of the field and here it comes. And Jimmy throws you a pick because that's where he's throwing the ball. So I think it's more about making defenses defend the whole field long term. I think that's the game plan. But it doesn't mean that it's going to work in year one. It doesn't mean Trey's going to be better in year one. Yeah. It could take a while. It could take several years. It could take, he may never get there.
Kyle called it a journey the other day. He said, we're ready to go on this journey.
Exactly.
It's an interesting word.
Well, because a journey's a good one because you know what? You don't know what direction it's going to go. We all hope that it's going to work out good, but there's no guarantees.
No, of course not. Real quick, Duriel in Arizona on with Willard and Larry. Hey, Duriel, what's going on? What are you doing?
Hi, I am taking a break right now in between door dashing.
Good.
That's how I'm surviving over here. Thank God for California making jobs like DoorDash so people like me can survive. And, I just want to say about Jimmy Garoppolo, I call him James. His mama named him James. But he's still on the team because we're a class organization and we carry ourselves with class and dignity, like Jed York said years ago after Colin Kaepernick got sent packing. And he beat the Dallas Cowboys last year, and by my math, we're America's team because he called Joe Montana and he asked him, how do you beat the Cowboys? Joe Montana said, throw more touchdowns than them to the very end of the game because they like to cheat and cry to the refs. It worked for me. Jimmy Garoppolo, he wants to be the 49ers quarterback. He loves it here, and he knows what it means to be here. He's been calling Joe Montana. Colin Kaepernick never did. Bye-bye. Your career's over. Now Jimmy Garoppolo, porn star Jimmy, he's still going to be on the team. Him and Jed York are both Italian.
Yeah, Duriel, thanks so much. I don't. We're getting into spaces that have nothing to do with anything, and you're acting like if Jimmy's on the team, it means he's playing. Like I still don't think this is even a possibility that Jimmy's on the team. But if he is, he's not playing.
No,
he's not playing unless 4 weird things happen. So we'll get to all of this with Jeff Schwartz Very good NFL analyst, former NFL player, and Fox Sports Radio host, and, by the way, big Giants fan.
Is he?
Yeah, so we can ask him the question of the day I want to ask everybody, which is, it's like, yeah, the Giants are bad, but I've never seen a Giants team anger everybody this much. And so is he feeling that, and why? So we'll get into all of that. Trey Lance, Jimmy stuff with Jeff as well. That's next. Larry's in for Dibs. 95.7 The Game.
Brought to you by On Deck Small Business Loans.
When you own a small business, sometimes you need funds fast. So go to OnDeck.com, America's largest online small business lender. OnDeck makes it easy to apply in minutes. Apply for your loan today at OnDeck.com.
Jerry Rice live on YouTube and Twitch via Zoom on the Morning Roast.
I think the guy that's really gonna have a breakout year is Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because, with all that single coverage and all of that, and all that attention going on George Kittle too, this guy, he got to blossom this year.
Jerry Rice with the Morning Roast. I want to go back to the playoffs on 95.7 The Game.
Everyone knows how beneficial therapy can be. But traditional therapy can be overwhelming, confusing, and inconvenient. When scheduling in-person therapy, it can be difficult to find the right therapist near you, and it can take weeks to get on their calendar. We knew there had to be a better way, and that's where BetterHelp began. I'm Danny, co-founder of BetterHelp Online Therapy. When Alana and I started BetterHelp in 2013, our mission was simple: find a way to make professional therapy accessible, affordable, and convenient for everyone. BetterHelp works around your schedule and lifestyle. You can connect to a therapist by phone, video call, or even text message. You don't even have to turn on your camera if you don't feel comfortable. And if your therapist isn't the right fit, you can switch anytime with the click of a button, because BetterHelp is designed with you in mind. See why over 2 million members have trusted BetterHelp for online therapy. Go to betterhelp.com/youfirst and get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/youfirst for 10% off your first month.
Odyssey knows that football fans can't get enough football. That's why we've got nonstop football coverage on the free Odyssey app. Podcasts and live shows dedicated to every pro team. NFL play-by-play and enough game talk for the most diehard fans. Local radio stations talking football, interviews with star players and coaches, and football fans being fans.
What kind of play calling was that?
Listen to everything you love about football, live and on demand with the free Odyssey app. Get in the game and download today.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try Ziprecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. Ziprecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Did you know that most people wait 6 or 7 years before they buy a new TV? That's a lot of time in front of one TV. So why not get one of the best sets for the next 7 years, like one of the top-rated Samsung, LG, or Sony models? Too expensive? What if you could get up to $1,000 trade-in for your old set? Who would do a stupid deal like this? Right now, at Video Only, you can get big bucks for your old set as a trade-in and a hot price on the new models. Don't be sorry. Check out Video Only.
Breathe new life into life at home with IKEA Festival. 10 topics, one purpose. To get more out of the homes we love. What are you passionate about? Art? Dance? Music? Food? Fur babies? Get inspired, create, and share with us. With celebrations, giveaways, IKEA family offers, and live streams with expert advice. It's all happening at IKEA Festival. Join us from August 26th through September 10th online or at your local IKEA store. Learn more at IKEA-USA.com.
Attention veterans. If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning, cancers, birth defects, deadly illnesses have all been linked to the contaminated water. Congress is now holding the government accountable. You could be awarded financial compensation for your suffering, but you must act now. Get your free case review. Call True Law at 877-560-8555, 877-560-8555, or visit sickvets.com. That's sickvets.com.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Tired of companies like Google and Facebook watching everything you do online? There's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more. All for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with a push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-200-1966. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-200-1966. That's 800-200-1966 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-200-1966. 800-200-1966.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, kgmz-fm at HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
We're doing what any two football fans are doing right now when we have a second, and that is talking about fantasy football drafts.
There we go.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, everybody hot and heavy with all their takes and thoughts. I've got the number 2 pick coming up in the draft next week, and I would love for you to tweet me, text me, add me on LinkedIn. I don't care where you find me.
You need help.
I just love recommendations because the number 2 pick this year, everybody seems it's like Taylor across the board.
Right.
And then after that, you can find all kinds of opinions as far as what to do next. We could throw that out with our good buddy Jeff Schwartz, former NFLer, big-time San Francisco Giants fan, Fox Sports Radio, all over the place. Love his stuff. Jeff, thanks for coming on. We won't do too much fantasy, but what would you do with the number 2 overall pick this year?
My fantasy draft is on Tuesday, and I don't do much fantasy. So what am I, like, I just kind of, like, go on, like, 30 minutes beforehand, and I just look at, like, where everyone's ranked, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just take the players where they get. Who are my options? Like,
I mean, some will say Christian McCaffrey, others will say Austin Eckler, some want to go receiver and grab Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson.
Like number 2 overall pick?
Yes.
Yeah. Jamar Chase.
It's a running back, right? So whoever the next step is in line for running back.
Yeah.
I don't know who's number 1 this year. Who's consensus?
Jonathan Taylor, and then maybe McCaffrey if you're not fearing the injury.
He's healthy this year, but his injury health has been quite a concern for years now. So I don't. Yeah, I mean, a running back. Kamara, he's not being suspended, right? So maybe he's an option, but you have a new offense there, right? So maybe he's not the best choice. You could say with Nick Chubb, I mean, they have to run the ball a bunch in Cleveland now without Deshaun Watson, but then you also have, he splits reps there too. So
with Kareem Hunt, yep.
I don't know.
All right, we've officially made this even harder. Fantastic. Jeff Schwartz with us. So, Jeff, would love to hear you weigh in on kind of the number 1 thing we're dealing with today, because final roster cut down tomorrow, and there are rumors, suggestions that the 49ers, in order to not let Jimmy go somewhere else or not let him prep somewhere else, they may actually use a roster spot on a guy they're not planning to keep. A, what do you think about that? And B, is this in any way doing Jimmy dirty in not letting him go find a new spot?
Well, he's making a lot more money staying there, so I don't know if that's dirty or not. But, so there's many different things here. One is that I have never felt that he was going to be traded. No team was taking on that salary, and in my opinion, his demand is far less than we think it is, and I'll tell you why. And this kind of fits into where I think he'll end up. So if you're a bad team, if you're Seattle, if you're the Texans, or talk about the Jets, or even the Browns, who might be bad with Jacoby Brissett, getting Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't really do you anything. It's a 1-year fix, and maybe you win 7 or 8 games. But what's the point of that? Like you're bad for a reason. You want to draft a quarterback. Even if you're Houston, you want to see if Davis Mills is your guy, right, for 1 more year. And so I've always felt Jimmy Garoppolo would be released, and I see him as a high-priced backup on a winning team. Like if you're the Patriots, you're telling me you don't want Jimmy Garoppolo for 1 season, just to, Tom Brady gets hurt for a month, you insert Jimmy Garoppolo and nothing changes. I mean, it's going to change, obviously, but you have a better chance to win than not, right? If you're Buffalo and you're vying for that 1 seed, and Josh Allen, takes the hit as he's running, he's out for 2 or 3 weeks, it would be nice to have Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback. So that, to me, feels like where he's going to be. So it brings me all the way back to keeping on the roster makes no sense, because you need this to be Trey Lance's year. And if you have Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster, there's always going to be that thought of, well, if Trey Lance struggles, we always can go back to Jimmy Garoppolo. If you do that, you're admitting fault and the end of Trey Lance in San Francisco, right? You cannot go back to Jimmy Garoppolo. It's now Trey Lance's team. You cannot have that option on the roster. And if you keep him on the roster, that option's always there. As much as they say they won't have that option, it's always there, right? You start out slow, Trey Lance, it doesn't work out well, and the second you go back to Garoppolo, you're signaling we failed on Trey Lance. And there's too many assets that he's given up, there's too much time you've given up, so you can't have that option on your roster.
It makes perfect sense for sure, but then, I'm looking at it from, let's say Trent Williams' perspective. He's 34. He's probably at the apex of his Hall of Fame career. His best chance to win the Super Bowl might be this year. And if I'm him, man, I almost would rather have that insurance of a second quarterback on the roster just so I can potentially get that Super Bowl ring. How would you think of it if you were on this team and you were 30, 33, 34, 35? Would you want that second quarterback, or would you say, no, it's still a distraction, move him on?
Well, I would probably want Jimmy Garoppolo to start if I thought he was better, right? I mean, if you're the veteran player, you want the guy that brought you. I mean, Trent Williams only knows Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, the NFC Championship game last season. I mean, look, Jimmy Garoppolo, the last 2 seasons, he's been healthy. Super Bowl and NFC Championship game. It's not been bad. So I would imagine the veteran players, if you ask them a question of who would they prefer, they're certainly going to prefer to have the older veteran player they trust.
Jeff Schwartz is with us, former NFLer, Fox Sports Radio here on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game with Larry in for Dibs today. Jeff, what have been your impressions of Trey Lance and struggles early, if you will, even if they're in camp or in preseason? How much do they matter to you?
Well, I think anytime you're on film, it matters. But guys, the thing about Trey Lance is if you include North Dakota State and the Niners, what's he have? He has 15 starts in his career. That's it. Right? He has no playing experience. It's going to take time for him to grow into being a starting NFL quarterback to where you feel comfortable with him being your guy. I mean, yeah, there are players that have started fast in their careers, but they also have 2 or 3 years of hard college experience in Division I. Trey Lance doesn't have any of that, and so I think it's no surprise he started slow. There are some things that he's shown on film that are impressive, that he has the physical capability to do a lot of things, but the idea that he's going to be great right away, I think feels very odd to me. So that's where I stand on Trey Lance. It's not a good or bad thing. It's he needs time to work. He's not played a lot of football. And that experience matters in that position.
He's a great prospect, but yeah, you're right. We're going to find out, and they got to give him the opportunity at some point. And maybe this is that opportunity. Who's the team that because I see the Niners as the best roster in the conference. Who's their number one competition in the conference? That the team that could potentially stand between them and another trip to the Super Bowl.
I mean, you can have all the roster talent you want, but if your quarterback's not good, that doesn't matter. So, I mean, to me, it's the Bucs still. I mean, you look at what they have on the offensive defensive line. I know they're a little beat up on the offensive line. You look at the weapons they have at wide receiver. Look at even the players they have, in their secondary, their linebackers, and Tom Brady. Like they're to me the favorite. Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay is going to be good. I just don't know how good. With the loss of Adams, and they just continue to kind of fall. Their offensive line is a big concern to me. So, to me, it's Tampa Bay as the favorite. But the Niners, again, if Trey Lance can play average, a little, I mean, they're going to win a lot of football games. So, it's just, to me, it's about Trey Lance.
Jeff, before you go, we know about your roots as a San Francisco Giants fan. We've been tossing this around today too. The Giants they're not good, but it's not like the worst Giants team we've ever seen. However, out here, the fan base seems madder than they've ever been. Something about this team really angers people. Do you feel that way? And if so, why?
Can we still sell? Is a deadline coming up soon?
Yes. Rodon is on the market. Do you want him? Yeah.
I think that the frustration is, well, at least for me, I've kind of tuned out the last couple of weeks. It's very clear they're not going to make a playoff push. Is like they just kind of ran it back with the same squad. I mean, that was the shocking part to me. Like, you had players with career years last year that you expected again. Like, I just didn't expect Lamont Wade Jr. to have 8 walk-off home runs again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just didn't expect that. I didn't expect Darren Russ to hit 280, right? Like, it was kind of surprising to me that they just, Jock Pearson has been a good addition. Look, I think the best thing that happened the last month is Bart started hitting, right? Like, that, I think, is the best thing that we've seen. Like, he went down, came back up because of injury, and all of a sudden he's hitting much better, not striking out as much anymore. So there's some positives there. And I think also, if you're a fan, this is both good and bad. Like, there's no one under contract after 2024. So it's either a good thing where I don't think Bart counts as being under contract technically, but there's none of these guys on these long-term contracts. So there's some positive. Okay, well, the roster can be changed over, but how much are they going to put into the roster? Are they going to spend a bunch of money? Are they going to go hard? And I think also too, because the Dodgers have gone so hard the last couple of years in free agency, it really, again, the last series, I mean, I guess it was after the break when the Dodgers won 8 in a row, I think, against the Giants. It's very easy to see the importance of a Mookie Betts. That's pretty good. The Giants don't have guys like that. I think that's the frustrating part. Is there's not and again, not every team has a player like that. But it's not that the Giants are poor; they can afford to pay players. So I think that's all wrapped in the frustration. Where you're watching them play, you're like, who's the dude? And they don't have one right now.
Right.
They don't have one. And last year, I know Posey had a great season last year, and he was that guy last year for us. I expect him to come back, obviously, but. Again, they don't have that guy. When they're struggling, who's the guy who's the guy who's going to get a big base hit for them? Right now, it's nobody, and that's the hard part, I think.
Jeff, great stuff. Great to have you. I'm going to employ your fantasy strategy. I'm just going to close my eyes and put my finger on a piece of paper and see what happens with each pick. Yeah.
After about 7 rounds, man, that auto draft is on.
Yeah.
I'm checked out.
Jeff, thanks, man. Great to have you.
See you, Jeff.
All right, there he goes. Jeff Schwartz, longtime MFLer. He's got a book with his brother, Mitchell Schwartz, and apparently they credit matzo balls for why they're so big.
Really?
Yeah.
It's an offensive line family, man. Two pretty good ones right there.
Love a matzo ball soup. What do you think about that, though? We were throwing that out, and 888-957-9570 with you as well. This is the one thing I've noticed about the Giants this year. They're not good. It hasn't worked. Yep, even me over here is ready to completely admit that. There's all kinds of different approaches that they need. I will say, I still completely, I am a buyer on this front office. I think they're smart. I think they're going to do the right things. They have to do them this offseason. There's got to be a different approach. 100% all of those things are true. But what is the team right now? They're 4 games under 500?
Four under 500.
So we've seen worse records than this.
Oh, easily.
Right? But I've never seen the fan base this mad.
Well,
why do you think that is?
Well, it's a couple things. One, they won 107, so there's the expectation level. Sometimes when you win 75 for 3 straight years, you don't have the engagement. Now we have the engagement, and we're living in an era of social media. So you've got huge engagement, lots of fans. They're totally into it, and they've got a voice. And so we can hear them, right? That's one. Two, the owners cheaped out in the biggest way possible. They didn't spend the money. They're spending 47% of their revenue base on player payroll. The Dodgers won 106, added Freddie Freeman, are spending 52% of their revenue, which is far greater on payroll. That's one. And then I think also Farhan did a lousy job of putting this team together this year. I like him as well, but he did a lousy job, and he never articulated a plan. And now here we are, and it doesn't seem like they have a plan. And the biggest number one thing is you don't talk big and deliver nothing. Under promise, over deliver. It's a fundamental, foundation point of sales. You're a general manager. Your job is to sell your product to your fan base. He did a lousy job of that. They talked about Seiya Suzuki and Trevor Story, and then here comes Padlo and Fairchild and all these no-name nothings.
You love Padlo.
Oh, seriously, it was a parade of crap. And then you get to the middle of the year, and Farhan could have said nothing, but instead he's like, we have the wherewithal to add he didn't say star. We have the wherewithal to add a superstar caliber player in any facet of the game. And then he added J.D. Davis and 3 minor league arms, and that was it. Did he sell Rodon? No. Did he sell Peterson? No. Did he buy anything of significance? No. So they're spinning their wheels. They have no direction. And also, for the first time in my entire life, and I was born in 1970, they don't have a guy on the team that anybody's invested in. They always had somebody, Mark. They had McCovey. They had Jack Clark. They had Will Clark. They had Buster Posey.
Barry Bonds.
These players all basically, there's no year that you can point to at any point from like 1975 till literally this year where the Giants didn't have a guy. This year, they don't have a guy. And then people are tired. It's still super expensive, but the Dodgers are you're staring up at a Dodger team that's an all-star team and getting better with a farm system that's working. You've got a farm system that isn't working, and you're not spending money. So all these things wrapped up into one, you get a lot of engaged verbal fans who are empowered to speak their mind, and they're speaking it. God bless them.
I think that's a really good answer. I think it's a really, really good answer. There's one thing I'll say. There's one thing you brought up that I hear a lot, which is they never tell us what their plan is.
I never heard a plan articulated by Farhan. Like, we're in it this year. We're going for it. It was just nothing.
I don't. But if I'm a San Francisco Giants fan, I don't need to hear you say at the beginning of the year, "We're in it. We're going for it." Every year. You better go for it every year.
But they weren't in it, and they didn't do anything in the offseason, and then they started April with this Padlo Fairchild parade of nothing.
Right, but they started the previous year sometimes with Connor Joes and Michael Reeds and people like that.
And people didn't like those guys.
No, they didn't, but they've had different left fielders every year, and then their point would be last year it led to 107 wins. So here's what I would say.
That looks like the aberration now, doesn't it?
It does, although I still, it's like you got 2 seasons side by side. Which one was wrong? The truth is probably in the middle of the two. But here's what I'd say, because I agree with just about everything you said. But I do feel like a plan has been articulated. I just think this year it didn't work. So here's what he has said, for instance, to us, on the Garlic Fries and Baseball Guys podcast, where you can get wherever you find your podcast. Okay, here's what he has said to us about, because I asked him that question. And what he said was, if you look at the way even the Dodgers were built, your time to really pounce financially, it's what the Padres did also, is once your homegrown base is starting to arrive. What's really angering the Giants inside, I believe, is that the farm system went sideways somehow. I don't know if it's a development issue. I don't know if it's a draft issue. I don't know if there's a bad luck issue. Luciano got hurt, stuff like that.
It's a lack of competence issue. Corbin Carroll is being promoted tonight by the Diamondbacks.
By the D-backs.
He was taking 6 picks after Hunter Bishop. Hunter Bishop's hitting 228 for the Emerald whatever in low A ball.
You're absolutely right. You're 100% right. So who's to blame for that? We can have that conversation. But what I think they wanted to do was, you're at the end of a year, 107 wins, and they're looking at the following year going, we think at this moment, go back to last December, we think at this moment, farm system's going to start spitting us guys in 2023. So, should we go just bananas and spend a bunch of money right now, or do we like the free agent options the following year? Who knows what they thought the Juan Soto situation was going to do at that time, whatever. Ohtani is a year away. Do we want to actually hold those resources? We think we're not going to win 107, but I bet we win 90 this year, and then pow, we're going to bring the wood in 2023. I think that was their plan. It blew up twice. You're totally right. It blew up not once, it blew up twice. The reason it blew up is A, now the farm system doesn't look like it's ready to spit anyone out in 2023. And B, you didn't win 90 games. In fact, you don't even look like you're going to win 81. And like, I give it to you, they did not see that coming, and they were wrong. And the biggest problem, the only thing you didn't mention, which I will add to this, is that whether they mean to or not, like there are a lot of people in this world, when you speak publicly, this is on guys like you and me, when you speak publicly, it's kind of on you how your message is received, how your words are translated. Like, that's on you to be in the room and be translated a certain way. Whether they mean to or not, it's a group of people that often makes people feel like they're stupid. They talk to you sometimes in a way. This is what I would suggest to them, seriously. If I was in like PR for the Giants, I'd pull Gabe and Farhan aside and be like, look, especially Gabe, there are times when you're talking to someone where your answers make it feel like you think you're really smart and they're silly for even asking the question they asked you. He did it to Susan Slusser 2 weeks ago. Just trying to ask, you didn't pinch run for LaStella when he's at first base? Oh, did I miss something? No, you didn't. I'm just asking a very fair question. Want to know where your state of mind is. And he made it sound like she was stupid for asking. If you're going to come across like the smart one and everyone else doesn't know what they're talking about, that's fine if you win a $107. It's not fine if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not fine.
Gabe to me sounds defensive, and he seems tight, and I feel like his team's played tight. Also, the people around the club told me that he'll defend the players at every turn. How hard are they working? Optional batting practice. I got to question how hard this team worked this year. But it's more on Farhan than Gabe because the team is just not good. Be creative. I want to see more creativity. Yeah, you can lean on your farm system, but now it's year 4. It's time to go. You're going to have to make something happen before your farm system
absolutely
is ready to spit guys out. So now it's time for, okay, you had plan A. Now it's time for an aggressive plan B. I like Farhan more than I like Gabe because he seems more likable. So my natural instinct is to want to hold Gabe's feet to the fire more, but I can't really because this roster this year was just bad. I'll tell you one thing that I've got to see different in the years in the future. If you use your pen the way the Giants use their pen, aggressively and liberally, you can't run those guys back the second year because the second year they're taxed, and we're seeing it right now from Leone and Rogers and these guys that were used a lot last year now being asked to back it up with a high usage rate this year. They've hit a wall. They've absolutely hit a wall. I'm just tired of the lack of pivot. You got guys like R.J. Dabovich and Cole Waits and Izon Diaz and some of these guys. I'd like to see whatever you got promoted. I've seen enough of Rogers. I've seen the Leone show. I've seen this bullpen that can't get anybody out. I need to see some new names. I need some new faces. It's really an expensive product, and you're looking at the Dodgers. Why Giants fans getting frustrated? Because they're looking at the Dodgers revving up their car, which is far faster, and pulling away. and pulling away on the spreadsheet in the farm system, all these areas where Farhan and Gabe were going to take hold, and they were going to run with the Dodgers. So we got kind of teased that the Giants were on the verge of running with the Dodgers, and here we are a year later, and it's so clear that they're nowhere close. And that's, I think, why you're getting a lot of pushback.
It's all sponsored by Innova International, 888-957-957. You can weigh in on that. We'll take your calls next. Plus, does Jerry Rice think that Lance is on a good track or not? We'll let you hear from him. He was on the morning show. That's coming up next. It's Willard and Dibs. Larry's in for Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Jerry Rice live on YouTube and Twitch via Zoom on the Morning Roast.
Is there a player comp that you possibly had for Trey Lance when you worked with him and caught a few passes?
And I know people are going to go crazy if I say this. It didn't take me long to adjust to Joe Montana. And I felt the same way with Trey Lance.
The best 49ers coverage is right here. Bang, bang, not again! On 95.7 The Game.
Now with Xfinity, you'll get unlimited internet with gig speed and supersonic Wi-Fi. With a 2-year internet rate guarantee, no annual contract required, and no equipment fees. Talk about knock your socks off. Ooh, plus a free Flex 4K streaming box. It's like hitting the streaming jackpot. It's all just $50 a month when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data. $50 a month. A price that's truly jaw-dropping.
Oh, literally.
The speed you need at a price you want. Value that's simply bananas. That's the new Xfinity Supersonic Bundle. It's kind of a big deal. Go to Xfinity.com/gig, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to learn more.
Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay. New gigabit internet customers only. Xfinity Mobile requires post-pay Xfinity Internet. After 24 months, regular rates apply to all services and devices.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. No title, no problem. Call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS or go online at carsforkids.org to donate today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No, we tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured, so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly, different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Bart is turning 50 and we'd love to celebrate with you. Get 50% off your ride in honor of Bart's 50 years of service to the Bay Area when you pay with Clipper. That's 50% off Clipper Bart fares for the entire month of September. Add Clipper to your digital wallet for free. If you're eligible for other Clipper discounts like youth or senior fares, you get to take an additional 50% off those too. Details at bart.gov/50 years. That's bart.gov/50 years. Celebrate Bart's 50 years of service with us this September. Let's go!
Kirby is your driveway mechanic. They bring the shop to you with brake and tire replacements, oil changes, and so much more. Get $50 off your first oil change with code OIL50 at Kirby.com. That's CURBEE.com and use code OIL50.
Everyone knows how beneficial therapy can be, but traditional therapy can be overwhelming, confusing, and inconvenient. When scheduling in-person therapy, it can be difficult to find the right therapist near you, and it can take weeks to get on their calendar. We knew there had to be a better way, and that's where BetterHelp began. I'm Danny, co-founder of BetterHelp Online Therapy. When Alana and I started BetterHelp in 2013, our mission was simple: find a way to make professional therapy accessible, affordable, and convenient for everyone. BetterHelp works around your schedule and lifestyle. You can connect to a therapist by phone, video call, or even text message. You don't even have to turn on your camera if you don't feel comfortable. And if your therapist isn't the right fit, you can switch anytime with a click of a button, because BetterHelp is designed with you in mind. See why over 2 million members have trusted BetterHelp for online therapy. Go to betterhelp.com/youfirst and get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/youfirst for 10% off your first month.
This advertisement is paid for by Lacuna Ventures LLC. For terms and conditions, visit yourrights.legal. Attention! If you or someone you know spent time at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina prior to 1988 and developed serious health conditions such as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, lung cancer, bladder, breast, or kidney cancer, you may be eligible for significant financial compensation. Call Camp Lejeune victims to discuss your case now at 800-873-8202. Leaking underground tanks contaminated the drinking water with benzene and other highly carcinogenic chemicals, up to 280 times acceptable levels. Marines, their families, contractors, or employees who spent at least 30 days at Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune prior to 1988 and developed a serious health condition, called to determine your eligibility for financial compensation. If you don't win, you pay nothing. It's critical to take action and call now. 800-873-8202. That's 800-873-8202. Again, 800-873-8202.
The 36th annual Grip Harmony Walk is back October 22nd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Nichols Park in Richmond. Register to walk at gripcares.org and help raise money to end homelessness and hunger.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
It's the Damian Pierce Man Crush Hour. We're sitting here talking about the Houston Texans running back and where we got him in fantasy drafts, and that concludes the dorkiness of our day. There you have it. It's Larry Krueger in for Dibs, Willard and Dibs. Glad you're with us. 95.7 The Game. We will get to the Jerry Rice comments in just a second. Everything is brought to you by the Valley Transportation Authority. But coming off of that Giants discussion we just had, Skills in Vallejo has called in. Hey, Skills, what's cooking and what are you doing?
Hey, what's up, Willard? What's up, Larry? What I'm doing is sitting here just lamenting every move Farhan has made since the end of last season.
All of them?
You didn't like the J.D. Davis for rough move?
Man, I don't know if he thought J.D. Davis and J.D. Martinez were the same guy, but no, I'm not really crazy about that move.
The funny thing is like we were actually just sitting here talking about this. If you look at each individual deal, like sometimes, and I actually think this has gotten to a point where it could be considered a weak point. Farhan's moves, even the little ones, if you look at them, sometimes you're like, whoa, that actually, I mean, turning Darren Ruff into 4 players. Larry, you just said the guy they got for Rosenthal from the Brewers, Rosenthal, who they signed off of not playing, then never used him and turned him into a player who's getting good reviews.
Right. Tristan Peters or something like that.
And Rosenthal's already hurt.
Right.
So the Brewers didn't even get anything out of him. So you could go, wow, brilliant move, but not impactful, at least not yet. That's, I think, what everybody's looking for is smart. It only goes so far.
Okay, I guess what I mean is I'm lamenting the non-moves.
Right.
We did not get Soto. We did not get Josh Bell. We did not even get a guy like Andrew Benintendi. And what I wish I knew was, did he even make a serious effort to get any of these guys that could have maybe given us a boost at the deadline? I don't know. But in any event,
It's a good question. It is a good question because I want to see, and I'm sure you do too, like a Benintendi would have been nice. Why? Because he's a position player who's young-ish and has had some success, and you could argue that could be somewhat of a foundation piece, an everyday guy. They need some everyday guys, and they need some foundation pieces, and it's year 4. I'd like to see, I don't know, if it was a patio, I'd like to see the rhubarb. If it's a house, I'd like to see some walls, maybe a window or two, some flooring. You know what I mean? We're not, and right now it's still like, yeah, that's all still coming, and that's the frustration.
Well, it's also about what's plausible. So I think this is becoming a thing that I think will be, this is prediction now, this can be a big conversation in December and January and February of this year, which is, you can say you went after Harper. I believe you. You can say that you went after, say, a Suzuki. I believe you. You can say you called Washington and offered the farm, and I believe you. Like, at a certain point,
it's time to see the baby.
You can keep finishing in second, and I can keep believing you, but you've got to go win battles. You can't keep, even if you did try. And sometimes there will be a reason that's out of your control. The story with, say, a Suzuki is, wife looked at the reports of the city of San Francisco, didn't want to be there. And if that's the case, it's out of your control. Some player may say, I'm not playing at Oracle Park. What are you talking about? Right center field's 420. No, I'm not. Okay, out of your control. But it's not out of your control with everybody. It's not. And I know a lot of people, when they look at free agency, I hear this about Judge and Rodon and all this all the time. Why would those guys want to hitch their wagon to this franchise? First of all, the Giants are not the Marlins. They're not the Tigers.
They're an iconic franchise.
And what makes guys tick is the biggest bidder. Okay? That's what makes someone want to join a team. So somewhere along the road here, it may take a few more million than you want to spend, but you got to go win. You got to go win a battle off the field so that you can win on the field. You get, like, they're going to have to finish in first at some point on some of these battles.
And also, I mean, I think the Giants fans who are reasonable understood that Bobby Evans in the twilight, years of his run here made some additions that saddled Farhan and Scott with some bad contracts.
No doubt.
But here we are a few years later, and look at the Giants right now. They didn't want to pay Bumgarner, but then they turned around and gave the exact money that they would have paid Bumgarner to Anthony DeSclafani and Tommy LaStella, 2 contracts that if they could divest themselves of them today, they would. So that's that's a double loss because you got rid of a fan favorite and then you took his money and you spent it on 2 veterans who aren't really doing anything for you and don't look like they're going to do anything for you. So now there's bad money that you inherited, but now there's bad money contracts that you created. Yep. So there's, that's why I think some of Farhan's, some of the luster is off of his shine a little bit, just because he has taken on LaStella, and LaStella looks like he's a has-been.
Oh, yeah,
And DeSclafani's got 2 more years at big money, and relatively big money, and he doesn't look like a very good option at this point.
Nope.
So, and he's probably not tradable. So they're kind of in a bad spot. If they've got Casey Schmidt in the minor leagues, they've got Kyle Harrison in the minor leagues, they have Luciano in the minor leagues. If those 3 guys were up in the majors right now, producing and doing something, I think the feeling around this club would be quite a bit different. Well, the fact of the matter is they don't have that foundation piece prospect that he drafted, developed, and brought to the majors. And until that guy shows up, I think he's going to be kind of viewed as not in a great light.
Some that's all very fair. And some of those guys may be here within about a week or so. I mean, like I view these next 3 games. If you, I don't really hold out hope at this point, but if you have any narrative whatsoever that suggests the Giants are still in it this year, that starts with winning all 3 of these games that start tonight. You have to win all 3.
I mean,
you have to win all 3, or else if there's even a pinhole of light left, win all 3, and then we can talk.
Yeah.
But even that is far-fetched.
You are very optimistic.
No, I mean, that's like you have to sweep and then go from there. They're playing all the competitors right now. Padres, Phillies, Dodgers, Brewers. 11 games. Win 8 of them with 3 of the 8 being the Padres, you're probably 2 or 3 out. So you got to do that, or else this is cooked, and get some guys up from the farm.
And also, you know what? Win enough games to make the other team feel your presence, and then maybe they'll gag. But right now, they haven't even shown the ability to put any heat on any of these teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Jerry Rice on Trey Lance, moments away, along with Pick Your Battles, plus Steiny and Goo getting on in here. It's Willard and Larry Krueger on 95.7 The Game.
Jerry Rice live on YouTube and Twitch via Zoom on the Morning Roast.
I think the guy that's really gonna have a breakout year is Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because, with all that single coverage and all of that, and all that attention going on George Kittle too, this guy, he got to blossom this year.
Jerry Rice with the Morning Roast on 95.7 The Game.
Looking for a fulfilling career with growth opportunities? Enjoy paid training, medical benefits, and earn close to $40 per hour within 3 years. Apply today to become a VTA bus operator and excel with providing VTA customers a great experience. Start your journey. Visit VTA.org/Point A and apply today.
Are you curious about who offers the best deals on top-rated Samsung, LG, and Sony TVs? The answer is surprising. It's not online, and it's not the warehouse clubs. The best deals on top-rated TVs are at Video Only. Don't believe it? Then check out the trade-in deals at Video Only. How about $500 for your old TV? Try doing that online. Before you buy that new TV, drop into Video Only. If you don't, you'll be sorry.
Why do we find popping bubble wrap so satisfying? Why do we say boop when we touch somebody's nose? Boop? Why do we turn anything and everything into drums?
Honey, I need those pots to start dinner.
Why do we sing in the shower?
I'm taking a shower.
And outside the shower.
This conference call is boring.
Rick, you are not on mute.
Why? For the same reason we play scratchers from the California Lottery. Because a little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Are you tired of being tracked online? There's a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more. All for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with the push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
We all know someone who's all work and no chill. Trust me, that used to be me. But then I found Galaxy Z Fold 4, which allows me to do more things at once. Much better. Now I can take video calls from my phone and use it to take notes at the same time.
Wait, are you at the spa?
Or check my shopping list while ordering more scented candles and face masks on the foldable, expansive screen. Don't take your to-do list one line at a time. Multitask so you can relax.
Get the new Galaxy Z Fold 4 at Samsung.com today.
Gorgeous gaming, stunning streams, unbelievable bandwidth. It's another Lifestyles of Gagillionaires. Meet the AT&T Fiber customers winning at life with hyper gig speeds. Meet Gagillionaire Terry. While his love of streaming horror movies has him constantly on the edge of his seat, his internet bill won't give him a scare.
Oh, don't go in there. I'm telling you.
Because since Terry upgraded to AT&T Fiber with hyper gig speeds, he doesn't worry about data caps or equipment fees.
Come on, man. The door's open for a reason.
And best yet, he also doesn't stress about a price increase at 12 months, because with the amazing Gagillionaire lifestyle comes an exquisite sense of tranquility. Most of the time. Live like a Gagillionaire. Get straightforward pricing with AT&T Fiber. Internet that upgrades everything. No data caps, no equipment fees, and no price increase at 12 months.
Limited availability in select areas. Visit att.com/hypergig for details.
O'Reilly. When was the last time you changed your spark plugs? Replacing your spark plugs can restore the efficiency and performance of your vehicle. Stop by and get a $12 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase 4 or more select Iridium spark plugs. Get better performance with new spark plugs from your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
That's the sound of a crack in the ceiling found at a home inspection. But with a Realtor by your side, a newfound leak might only cause minor worries. With their expertise, a Realtor can suggest a credit at closing and even connect you to a contractor to help you shore up that leak and alleviate your worries. When it comes to cracks in your plans, the expertise of a Realtor can make all the difference. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Everyone, who's manning the front tonight?
Big E's nightclub needs a bouncer with a military background.
Dougie, I need you to keep eyes on the back.
Security who lays down the no-no when the uns get too intense.
That Swedish DJ duo is back tonight. Y'all remember last time?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Summer's just getting started, so fill your cooler with the smooth and refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. It tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea. And with a 5% kick of alcohol, Twisted Tea is perfect for the beach, the lake, or wherever you're hanging out and day drinking with your friends. Look for the bright yellow cans. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
In Daly City, 65 degrees and partly cloudy today.
Weather brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Get your favorites on the free Odyssey app. Listen to local and national news stations, plus your music, sports, and podcasts for free wherever you are on the Odyssey app.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
All right, Steiny and Goo are getting ready to hop on in here. Also, pick your battles. You remember how that works, right, buddy? You have something ready for us? You have something ready?
I'll wager on something.
Dibs, Dibs has already sent in his picks. Badone has as well. He's not here today. Hope everything's going awesome with them and back soon and all of that. But you get to do the ceremonial pick, which if I remember correctly, the last time you were in here, you kind of crushed it for an entire week. Didn't you go 3-0 in your 3 days or something like that?
Go 3-0.
Yeah, that's a little scary. So anyway, so we'll have that coming up in a second. I want to make sure everybody got a chance to hear this because Jerry Rice was on with Bonte and Steven earlier this morning on our morning show. And I think everybody knows what they kind of want to hear from the GOAT right now. You want to feel calm about Trey Lance. You want someone who knows to tell you
it's going to be all right.
Don't worry about what you see. It's going to be fine. So if that's coming from the GOAT, maybe that means something. So here's the question, GOAT. How can Shanahan or what can Shanahan do to make this work?
I'm interested to see how Kyle Shanahan is going to put this together for Trey Lance, where, this guy where he doesn't feel the pressure, where he can just go out and play football, where we can have him healthy the entire season. And if all of that should happen, I think we're going to have a fantastic season. It's going to be exciting to see this young kid just, become a superstar.
Become a superstar. I mean, is that the only time that I get uncomfortable, it's not about watching Trey play.
Right.
It's about the fact that he is replacing someone who has been to the Final Four 2 out of the last 3 years, and therefore it's not good or bust, it's superstar or bust for Trey Lance.
It's success or bust.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say keep Trey on a pitch count. You have arguably the greatest collection of offensive weapons, and you have in the league surrounding him. You've got a can full of backs. You got as good a tight end as there is. You got a couple really good receivers, and you got kind of an iffy line. So get the ball out of his hands. The one thing that a young quarterback hasn't gotten done really is he hasn't played enough to really get into any kind of a rhythm. Get him into a rhythm. How do you do it? Get the ball out of his hands. Get him on a pitch count. Don't have him throwing 35 times a game. Run the ball heavy, play action pass off of that, and get the ball out of his hands. And force it out of his hands a little bit earlier. 3-step drops, a little bit more, work short to the intermediate level, and then take a shot or two per half to Danny Gray down the field, to Ray McLeod down the field. But that's the way I would do it.
Yeah.
Is run the ball. Run the ball and play action pass off of it and get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and don't ask Trey to drop 7 steps back on 3rd and long and make it happen.
Well, and speaking of playmakers, here's something that Trey might have that Jimmy never had, and that is 2 really, really high-level receivers at the same time. I mean, if you go back last year, Brandon Ayuk, for the first half of the year, whatever, they're trying to figure out how to get him out of the doghouse. Debo has, obviously, an iconic season. 2 years ago, Brandon flashes as, like, nice rookie, and Debo is a nice receiver, but hadn't really become the Debo we got to know last year. I think there's an opportunity this year, and this is different because not a lot of teams have this. A lot of teams have a 1, but do you have a 2 that really scares you? Because when you have a 2 that really scares you, that changes things for the 1. You know what I mean? Like Juju Smith-Schuster, when he was next to Antonio Brown, you're like, holy smokes, Juju Smith-Schuster. Then Antonio Brown leaves, goes sideways, and you're like, nah. Right? I mean, it just, so when you have 2, that makes it so hard for the defense. And if Ayuk continues what he did in camp and Debo is just Debo, Trey could have some weaponry that is really, really strong, especially when you add in Kittle. And I think Rice made that point as well, saying these receivers will have a hand in what we see from Trey.
There's going to be adjustments, but it's going to take a lot of pressure off Trey Lance because he knows that he can get the ball in the hands of his playmakers, and he doesn't have to force it or anything like that. And when you got so many weapons, who are you going to take away? And whoever you take away, the next guy up got to hurt you 100%.
Yep.
He got to make plays.
Yep.
So it's fun to see all of this happening.
Okay, so same thing, where he's putting some on everything that's around him. And that's always true about quarterbacks. If the line blocks, and if Brandon is locked in and Debo is Debo and those running backs are producing, Eli Mitchell's healthy, I mean, gosh, like, Trey just needs to be competent. It just needs to be competent, and they can be really, really good, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Warren Sharp does this incredible preview. It's like 700 pages long, and I was going through the Niner portion of it last night. And, he had a stat out there, and I can't quote it exactly, but basically the gist of it was the Niners' weapons, Debo, Ayuk, Mitchell, Kittle, they've so rarely all been on the field together. I mean, that's one thing we have not seen. We have not seen continuity of the weapons on the field together. Now he's got a full arsenal of weapons, and if they can just stay relatively healthy and get him to get the ball out of his hands quickly, I think you could see him settle into a real nice rhythm, especially since the defense looks it could be really dominant, maybe on all 3 levels.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. All right, let's dive into this. Pick your battles time. Here we go before Steiny and Guru get on in here. We're going to need a standings update. Let's go live to Hot Take Jake, which, as I said, I don't know how much he's going to appear on the show while you're here, Larry, because you do the show standing up. Therefore, I cannot see Kyle. Cannot see him during the show. Kyle, did you raise your hand at any point today to say anything and I just didn't see you, or what happened today?
Yeah, basically the whole show.
Okay,
I had so many takes. But
okay, all right.
No. It was good.
Okay, all right. What's our standings update? What are we looking at?
Dibs in first place at 5-1.
Wow.
You are sitting at 4-2. I'm in third place at 3-3. Bad beat for me. I had a Y +9 against Vanderbilt. They only lost by 53.
Damn.
And then,
tough one.
And then Joe Spadoni bringing up the rear at 1-5.
Oof. Okay, so Spadone, who's not here today, has sent in what pick, even though I already know what the pick is.
You want to guess?
Giants on the money line.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Giants on the money line. He's picked that, I think, every day for the last 2 weeks. Odd time to do it because the Giants don't win a lot of baseball games.
Wow.
But Spadone is on the money line. That's how you end up 1-5. Kyle, that leads us to your selection. What do you got?
I'm going to take the Cardinals, who are scorching hot. I've got them on the run line at Cincinnati. Cardinals -1.5 at the Reds.
Okay, there it is. Cardinals against the Reds. I will look to tonight's Giants-Padres game, and I will bring this up. The Padres, they are not hitting the ball. And the Giants are not hitting the ball. Give me the under. I'll go under 7 runs in the Carlos Rodon, Mike Clevenger battle tonight at Oracle Park between the Giants and the Padres.
All right.
Kyle, hang on. We got to go back to Kyle for Dibs selection.
Okay.
And then, Larry, then you can hop on in here.
He's going with U.S. Open women's tennis. Madison Brengle +6.5 versus Ons Jabeur.
You know what?
I think I said all those names correctly.
Who cares? We need to talk to him. Honestly, we really do.
I mean, he's 5-1.
No, I don't care. He's got to pick something that people can find.
Yeah, it's a U.S. Open. It's on TV.
I'm not gonna stop. We gotta make some parameters on this. I'm going to Maine for college hockey. What are we doing?
It's a great choice. Maine has a very good program.
No, I'm out. Go ahead. Whatever he said, it's in a different language. Larry, go ahead.
All right. Well, I could go with my standing bet, which is the Giants under in the first 5 innings. That seems like a lock nightly. But give me the Brewers with Corbin Burns at home on the run line. The Brewers smoke the Pirates.
All right, there it is. Brewers on the run line for Larry Krueger. Speaking of the Brewers and the Padres, by the way, as Steiny and Good jump in here, is it the greatest Houdini of all time that the Brewers pulled on the Padres with this Josh Hader trade? What the hell did they know? And what did Yaz do with that grand slam? The guy hadn't gotten an out.
Hader's been bad.
I mean,
it's worse than bad. What's worse than bad?
Seriously,
bad is
the worst. He went from the best reliever in baseball to the worst.
I called him a machine at one point this season. This may be better than Eck in his prime with the A's. Just to get a foul tip, you're excited.
Seriously.
What? And he had a kid. Did something happen?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's a new father.
Maybe
that's it.
What happens to when you have a kid? Good Lord.
They'll weigh you down.
JD thinks that the Brewers absolutely knew he was done. Not just struggling, done.
But what made him done is the mystery.
I don't know.
Seriously, because
the velocity's still there.
Yeah.
Well, he's walking a lot of people, so he doesn't know where he's throwing the ball.
But he looks the confidence meter, the one he blew in San Diego not too long ago. And I'm like, Mail, go get him.
Maybe it's fatigue because you know what? His command has just been totally off.
If you're giving up 6-run leads to the Giants.
I want to know.
I mean, in the 9th inning. that should have been some sort of an indicator. But anyway, hello, boys.
So
look at Steiny.
A couple things.
Look at you.
I was I turned you guys on today as I'm driving over, and I was a little surprised that you're talking Garoppolo.
Yeah.
But why? It's still the saga continues.
And it may continue out tomorrow.
What do you think?
There's wrinkles to it.
This is crazy.
Okay, you guys respond to this. There's no chance they don't waive him tomorrow.
Yeah,
there is a very good chance.
There is. I think it's better than 50-50 chance.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
I do too. I think they're going to.
Yeah.
Look, hey, you've driven it this far. Why would you stop here? Why wouldn't you drive it right to the deadline?
But isn't that okay, hey, we're going to Pittsburgh. We're going to this destination. You get closer and closer to the destination, and then you go, you know what? Let's go back. Let's go back to the right. And you know what I mean? So you're kind of going backwards.
Well, sort of, but keep him doesn't mean keep him.
I know.
Right?
I know.
Right? It just means that on the back of your roster, you've decided that this is worth something, and you're going to continue to play it out. That's all this means. It does not mean he's going to be the backup quarterback for the 49ers this year.
But that would make them a better team. Larry, I was saying.
I know.
Is there a chance he gets waived and comes back? But you can't look at me now and say this team is not better if they work something out and he was their backup quarterback.
To me, the quarterback means so damn much that I think I'd like to have the best 3 quarterbacks that I could possibly have. Because I think ultimately the 49ers are the deepest, best team in the entire NFC. I've tried to make an argument. I focused so much on the Niners, I haven't looked at the competition in the last month. The competition's lousy in the conference. The Rams are thin. The Green Bay's got rookie receivers and kind of question marks on D. Tampa's got a 45-year-old quarterback. These are the best of the best. This is like the creme de la creme. So I think the Niners are sitting chilly as far as they got the best roster. One of the only things
the most
that could
important
derail
position,
them
Larry, is the question mark.
The quarterback.
Keep
them all.
Let's play your scenario. Nothing. They don't waive Garoppolo tomorrow, so now he's on the team at least till the 10th. On the 10th, he becomes guaranteed. So you're telling me you're paying him $24.2.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens on the 10th?
So I still think it could potentially get played out in one of two ways. Either A, yes, that's when you cut him.
Okay.
And all you're doing is buying a competitive advantage of where he's going next. I'm going to limit the amount of time you have to get ready, especially if you end up in Seattle and we're going to see you on September 18th. I don't want you to be ready. So that could be one scenario. The other scenario is the trade deadline. We're not going to pay 24. We're going to, and yes, I know the full 24 gets guaranteed there.
Okay.
But we're going to start paying you, and we're going to pay you for half the season under the idea that we think leverage will grow and interest will grow as the season goes once somebody who's a playoff contender loses their quarterback or whatever.
So this would be they didn't do right by Jimmy. Well, remember that line. We're going to do right by him. If that plays out, guys, they didn't do right by Jimmy.
He's only not being done right by. Does that make sense?
Yep,
if he feels that way, or if his agent feels that way, if they're all on board, then who's to say it? I'm not going to say they haven't done right by him. None of the players are going to say they haven't done right by him. We're all waiting on Jimmy and Don Yee to say, hey, they haven't done right by us.
Jimmy's never going to say anything.
And if Jimmy's not going to say that, then I don't think the narrative is going in that direction. I look at it this way. No matter where he goes, the deal will be renegotiated. He will not make $24 million.
I agree.
So why not renegotiate the thing? And as Mark just said, kick the can down the road and then see between now and the trade deadline. Because my guess is, guys, if they renegotiated him, there would be an interested party that probably would pull the trigger before the trade deadline on a $12 million
I was going to say,
right, but then
10, 12.
Yeah, but then if you're doing that in season, you've guaranteed us 24 and a half. So now you're paying 12 for a 4th round pick. Is that which
you got to remember this?
The financial value is not there.
No, I know
that's not what that's worth.
But also, I think that independent. Yeah, they're all working together, Parag and Kyle and John. But I think also they have independent scoreboards, and I think John knows that the trades get evaluated. He will be evaluated partly on what he gets or doesn't get in this deal.
Can I stop you there? Because you said that earlier, and here's my first response: why John Lynch? Shanahan's the boss. Like, Shanahan's the personnel guy. I'm not disagreeing with you.
He's got the final say.
Yes.
No.
Shanahan does.
You're absolutely right. But when I characterize the 49ers front office, it's Shanahan to me. Like, he's.
You don't think Lynch has any power? You mean?
I think he does have power. I think Shanahan has more power. Like, I just think it would kind of stink.
Supposedly Lynch has final say on the draft.
I thought Lynch had say on the 80 man, and then Kyle at the. My
I
point
think
is,
Shanahan certainly has final say on anything that's quarterback related.
Shanahan's making the money, so he's got the final say.
I guess what I'm saying is, I think a Lynch kind of as a figurehead more than a nuts and bolts guy. I feel like Kyle Shanahan's the guy who makes most of the football decisions. He consults with. I don't know. I guess Lynch will go before Shanahan. I mean, we're way ahead of ourselves here if Lance doesn't work out. But I feel like Lance is more attached to Shanahan than Lynch.
I agree with that.
That's hard to say because we really don't know how the dialogue came down. For all we know, Shanahan was, according to Mike Lombardi, he stayed with he wanted Mac Jones the whole time.
Well, first off, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ-FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the Odyssey app. I've always had a really hard time with the Shanahan wanted Cousins and they just jammed Garoppolo in his face. And then Shanahan wanted Mac Jones and nope, they're taking Trey Lance. Like, there's no way.
But Shanahan did admit quarterback expert that he liked those two.
Yeah, of course. And he's going to tell everybody he likes everybody. Like, he's going to say that publicly. He likes Jimmy, he likes Kirk, he likes Trey, he likes Mac.
Why?
I mean, but we're going to believe that someone's telling Kyle Shanahan who his quarterback's going to be?
I think
I got a hard time with that.
I do too, but I do think there's a chance Shanahan and Lynch got the jobs. Shanahan did like Cousins, and they had no quarterback situation. I mean, would they have Hoyer? It was a mess.
Yeah. They didn't evaluate Mahomes and Watson because of Cousins.
Correct. And I think he was like, you know what? We can go get Kirk in a year or so. And in the meantime, they found Garoppolo. And I think at that point, Shanahan could have been talked into it a little. You know what? Okay, I'll work with Jimmy, see how he works out for a year or two, and then maybe come back to Cousins the whole scenario change. But I could see if Kyle Shanahan liked Cousins, and I believe he does. I think he thinks he can win with Cousins. That he would have said, you know what? make this move with Garoppolo because I think I can win with him. And I think he's right. He was right for the most part. He won with him when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Steiny knows this about me. I'm like the foul pole in baseball. I try to be fair. And I'm rooting for Trey Lance. I really am. But Larry, when I saw you last, it was before any preseason game. I'm not overreacting, but I'm telling you my gut. And I want to know you and Willard's thought on this because I know where Steiny's at. Every play he's played in the preseason, have you seen things that make you more confident he's going to be that guy, good enough to get him back close to where they got last year? Or are you worried? Because I'm seeing like the out route to Kittle, who was wide open and he missed. That's just a throw. But I'm like, are we going to see more of that? Debo on the go route, left a little air, too much air under it. Are you more worried about Trey after seeing him play in the preseason, or do you have more confidence?
I was never worried. I'm not. I'm personally. I've been in Trey's camp the entire time because I really see that he needs to be coached up. He needs the reps. He's not there yet, but he's gonna get there, in my opinion. And also, I think that I'd rather have a guy who's the right person, and I'll coach him up, as opposed to, hey, he's
Kuminga.
Or he's just not the right guy.
that was a
and
low
I don't
shot.
know. He's just not the right guy. They got the right guy, but they also challenged themselves because they took a raw quarterback that needs to be developed. Right. It's like he's calling his own bluff. He's never really developed a young quarterback. Now he has to. But I think I think Trey will get there. Nothing I saw in the preseason impacts any of this because in the preseason there's no game plan. And I think that's what makes Shanahan's offense go is his ruthless behavior, play calling and sequencing is just he'll go at your weakness and he'll find a way to exploit it. And none of that exists in the preseason.
Yeah. Gosh,
by the way,
11th.
Two more phenoms I thought of.
Oh, boy, here we go.
So did you hear about this Friday? Yeah. So I was just like, you guys were saying... Wait, you? Oh no, you weren't.
No, he wasn't.
Anyway, he was just saying. We don't know anything about Trey Lance. And I said, well, I think we can safely say that he's not going to be a phenom because what I think a phenom, I'm like somebody bursts onto the scene, and he just thought phenom was a great player. So we got I think Mark Fidrich was a phenom, and Fernando Valenzuela. That's what I kind of meant by bursting. And I think Trey's going to be. And actually, he's not going to come out.
While I agree you're probably right, I still don't think that's fair either.
Really?
I don't think we know a damn thing about what we're going to see this year.
But do you think he can even be a phenom this year on the 49ers the way Kyle's going to use it?
Okay, let me ask it this way so we can move away from trying to define a word. Can we remove Trey Lance from MVP consideration today?
No.
Well, then he can be a phenom.
Well, actually, you know what? Actually, hold on.
It's a phenom.
Well, this is interesting that you brought that up because when the Niners started 8-0 under Garoppolo, right? The 19th season, I believe.
Yeah.
And at one point they were 10-2, 11-2.
Something.
I was doing a show with Goo and with Bonte, and I'm like, we got ourselves an MVP candidate here in Garoppolo. They laughed. They're like, no chance. I'm like, dude, he's the quarterback of the best team in the NFL right now. I'm not saying he is, but he's got to be top 3. But his numbers were mediocre.
Yeah.
Trey Lance, if the 49ers are going to have some success, don't you think he's going to kind of look like Garoppolo?
I'm going to say I think what you're saying is true, but what you said that got that conversation going was that we could eliminate the idea.
Yeah,
I don't think you can I have no clue what they've got up their sleeve, and I don't think the preseason is predictive of anything. So
I don't know.
I think you're right, but I'm not eliminating it from possibility.
When you say phenom, too, I mean, I think of Mahomes. Okay, so Mahomes' first year, I'm looking at
50 touchdowns.
50 touchdowns,
and I got something for you, Larry.
I don't see that. I don't
think it's within the realm of possibility.
I don't either. I think a great year would be half that many touchdowns.
Let me throw something at you, Larry.
Half that many picks.
What about Kaepernick? When
30
he
and
hit the
12,
scene,
something like that
was a phenom.
Yeah.
We didn't think he was going to be a phenom.
Half a year later.
Was a phenom. Yep. Tell me I'm wrong.
He got off to a hot start for sure.
And we thought it was going to last. Nobody knew when. I don't know what you felt, but nobody thought he was going to fall off he did. No. Kissing the biceps, beating the Packers.
The playoff game.
I mean, that was a phenom to me.
The playoff game against Green Bay.
Oh, my goodness.
Come on. Well, this is iconic stuff.
The bottom line is, after that game, there were people who said this could be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all.
Didn't Jaworski say
that? Yes. And we thought the game had changed.
Right.
The read option was going to break the league. It was going to break the league.
Incredible.
And we came back the next year and we're like, the defense learned how to stop it.
And I think Lamar. I think Lamar's a good example of this. It's like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we're talking about Lamar like he was the greatest. Look at his numbers last year.
Go ahead, Larry.
You need, I would say,
question marks now.
3 years at least, maybe 4 years to really be able to say what a quarterback is, right? I mean, I don't think you can say it just, obviously you can't say it in a year. Otherwise, as you guys were saying, Kaepernick would have been, an all-world player. He just didn't progress.
Right.
And then we're not seeing necessarily progression. We've seen regression from Lamar. So, Rick Meyer was great as a rookie. So there are guys who have great rookie years.
I'd almost rather, so based on the definition that we're heading toward, I'd almost rather he's not this year. Because a lot of times it feels like now what we're talking about phenom, and I know Mahomes didn't regress, but he's never had that year again. Statistically, that's still his best year. And then, we brought up a name like Jeremy Lin last week. Like
Linsanity.
It's all like, how far is phenom from flash in the pan? Like what I'd much rather Trey be like Josh Allen, who year one was not a phenom and was like, it is a little wonky sometimes. And then how is the best player in the NFL? I
think that's a good comparison too, because I think Josh Allen was a 50% something completion guy.
And then he went up
one.
like 11 percentage points his second year.
I could see Trey being that because I think it's going to take a while before he's going to complete
that's a good thing.
70%.
And
he may never get there.
Well, when I think of the MVP too, obviously I'm thinking of a quarterback who's going to throw 40 touchdowns and
it probably will be.
Right.
It probably will be.
Right. And that's why I say if the 49ers run the football, Trey's numbers are going to be muted. They just are.
Well,
we know that.
And think about what they're going up against. Like the AFC has teams that are going to put up.
They pass like the 49ers run.
Herbert and Allen and Mahomes. Like these teams keep going. They're going to put up ridiculous numbers, and they're going to be, you'd think, pretty good football teams. Like it's hard for me to imagine a scenario, remove injury, hard for me to imagine a scenario where Trey Lance beats out Josh Allen for MVP. Like what happened to the Bills? Did the Bills not win 12 games? Did Josh Allen only play half a year? If he plays and they go 12-5 or north, the Bills, my gosh, his numbers are going to be absurd. So
same with Burrow, same with Herbert.
I'm with you, but I'm not ready to remove any scenario from the realm of possibility because I don't think what we've seen so far is what we're about to see.
One other thing.
I kind of do.
You had a point the other day, maybe it was a couple weeks ago now, where you're talking about the record of Garoppolo and if Lance's record. I think I would rather evaluate Lance on the record than on the stats.
That's
what it's about.
And I feel like if I said Jimmy Garoppolo is 31-14, well, then I've got to afford Trey Lance an opportunity to guide a team to a good record. Stats be damned.
Right.
And that is the way I'm looking at it. Go 10-7, lose your first playoff game. It's a successful year.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
It's about I think the expectation is double-digit wins, and it could look.
Because it's pressure. They're ready everywhere else.
As far as the stats go,
and playoffs.
But the stats could look. There could be a bunch of different looks.
Go Trent Dilfer on us or Brad Johnson. Get us to the play. Get us there.
You'll be irate for 17 weeks.
I will be too if that happens beyond this year.
Highlights.
If you want to Dilfer it and you want to Brad Johnson it, because there's plenty of people who say that's what Garoppolo was.
Yep.
So, no, that's fine this year. That's fine. You get 1 year to do that if you want. After this year, you better be a dude. You got to be part of the reason they win.
All I got to say, though, is remember, the text line says Jerry Rice was a phenom. He didn't have a good first season. Also,
he's the drop.
Don't forget that maybe the sheriff, Peyton, year one,
led the league in picks.
Yeah, it was like 27 touchdowns.
Aikman was 1 in 15.
Picks. So it's like there's going to be a reaction to how Trey plays this year. And if he's great, we're going to say he's great. And if he's terrible, we're going to say he's terrible. But in reality, neither is going to tell us.
He's going to be right. He's going to be.
Let me give you one more answer to that, Larry.
We need 3 years.
Let me give you one more answer. And I told Steiny and Willard this, and I mean it. The ghost of Jimmy. Can he be Jimmy? We're going to be able to watch him this year and say, Jimmy could. Oh, you can't even be Jimmy? Then I think we'll be taking calls on yes, his first year, but you couldn't even be Jimmy?
Okay.
Like, that's out there. That's on the answer sheet.
And so, but Goo, to circle back what you came in here saying, that's precisely why Jimmy can't be on the damn bench watching the game. Because if he's not, then the world is not going to let him stand there.
And that's...
That you can't. I want to be on the team.
We're gonna piggyback on that in a little because to me there's two different things. There's the locker room. Well, I think the locker room. But you said something like if they lose to Chicago, the fans, do they matter?
No, well, no. Okay.
But they kind of do in football.
They do and they don't.
Like Jed York knows damn well the pulse, right?
I want to make sure we understand this. It's kind of like Giants fans right now. Does the fan opinion, like what you should do, matter? No.
Right.
But does the fan opinion matter in terms of what happens when a fan base starts to beat a drum? Why do you think coaches get fired?
Exactly.
Because a drum beat gets started. So if a tone starts to hang over an entire organization, we're going to act like that doesn't bleed in the minds of the players and the coaches and everything, and people are booing, and now people aren't going to games, and this, that, the other. Like, do you think the Giants are going to spend more this December than they probably would have otherwise? Yeah. Why? Because fans are pissed. Fans are ticked off. So, like your opinion, I'm not going to the fan for, hey, what should we do?
But noise.
If you start a riot, then I'm going to need to address it, you know?
Yeah, let me ask you this, and we'll go then, because it's kind of going to lead into our show.
We have a show. Yeah.
We got a couple minutes.
Do you, do you think the 49ers botched this situation, didn't botch it, or we still don't know? Or they're just in the process of something?
I would vote didn't botch it because I don't know like the shoulder surgery.
There you go.
I don't know what it was they're supposed to do.
That's the wild
part.
Right,
like if nobody offered you anything, we're like, you botched it. Like, what were we supposed to do? Not play last year?
They botched it by giving Garoppolo a contract that's greater than his talent.
But that's
damn.
But they had no choice, Lair, back then.
Then you got to a Super Bowl NFC championship.
Then you don't have him. Then you don't have him. We don't go to the Super Bowl.
Who knows what you could have signed him for, what his options were, but they paid him more money than they would pay him today and that any other team would pay him today. And that's why they cannot trade him.
But 2 years ago, he would have gotten more if he were on the market.
But I'm just saying, what's official? It's official they paid him too much because he's not that
See,
player.
I'm not... I'm a Jimmy guy, but he got you there twice.
Yeah, like would you pay, what was the final total? 95, whatever it was, however many millions he's made
you
from the 49ers.
You were 4-12 before he showed up.
Would you pay that for 2 NFC title games and a Super Bowl run in 4 years?
I'm not crediting him with that because to me, this is one of the NFL's deepest rosters and it has been.
But every other quarterback they've tried has got a losing record.
Yeah, but okay, that's a total, now we can, stats lie and liars use statistics, and now you're being a liar.
I've never heard of a liar. I like that one.
I'm not even a liar.
You guys know each other, don't you?
That was good.
These are
but seriously. No, I mean, I can use a stat that says anything. I mean, they've had horrendous backup quarterbacks, and now you're saying they should have another horrendous backup quarterback.
No, you're the one who wants him to be the backup quarterback.
I'm saying because he's a good backup quarterback. Right. I would say I want to have the best quarterback room possible. I want to be able to win with multiple guys.
Yeah. No, again, I told you, your theory works if life were lived on paper, but you're also signing up for a bleep show. Huh? You are.
I can deal with Stank Eye.
Yeah. Well, no. Stank Eye's fine.
I thrive under Stank Eye.
Stank Eye's fine. All right. I think they're giving us the Stank Eye.
I have one.
Stick around if you want.
He got to go somewhere. I can tell.
Willard's.
I got
Let me know because I got one left in the chamber.
What do you got?
So
it's okay.
There's no loser in this scenario, and I need your guys' help. LeBron is 37, just re-signed a deal. We know what he still is at the top of his game. Brady's 5 from 50. He's 45 years old. There's no loser in this scenario. But for him to be the number one in the top 100 list, whether you agree with it or not, it's impressive. Whose career's been more impressive, Braun or Brady? I asked Steiny this. It's incredible.
Good Lord.
One's 45, the other 30. I know the difference in sports, and Braun's running up and down, high flying, but Brady taking those hits. Who's, like if I do a movie, Larry, who do I say it's Brady or Braun?
I can't stand LeBron, but it's LeBron. LeBron is more impressive because they didn't change the rules. He's been able to have this unbelievable longevity.
45
with the
years
exact
old.
same rules. The rules for Brady, I mean, you hear Steve Young talk about it.
it's easier.
He would not have been played to 45 in the 80s or 90s.
LeBron is a more impressive athlete and career than Tom Brady. One caveat, though, which is that the sport itself. In basketball, when you're the best player, you win the ring. In football, that's not true.
Yeah.
And so for Brady to do this multiple years, multiple teams, multiple teammates, that's
it's a hell of a question, man.
Blow our mind on the way out the door.
I was going to say it for tomorrow, but yeah.